Relentless Media. Please, for those of you who are watching, start sharing the video. My guest is here, so I will play a little bit of music while people are coming. Please start sharing the video. Thank you.
Kuala kuida nongo ya kwayeru nyang nyan bai panda yirton kagaya na makur kulang lanya na waiton yamal wana gatwara ga jeng nyel be yarul ya
share
kene tugal yam yarul dar nongo dor pan nyanga kwai nongo ler di jorum be langar ya ga jiban koin balba kir jo kwai gan ajatin kikini jama wen marial keron ya wen nim ya yo ngaler kedum nim ke briay rokoy ruru jogi re mer dia kinere ban ginu talbaki yinale jabale yin ban kwan kong ba ti na weekend bingar je maku pulang wai toner pol keden belag ba ku tende pol mit ka wad mit ka ni ku jar ka ba bi ken man ja pulang ni jong tinge marta kor ma betem nam ke marta kieta terman ni bol yar bier de ni chire chwe ngir jam to ga joli maku pulang le ku man ye de yar maku pulang le nya chire yar ma gan ku pan wer kal na yan Jiralew, Payerul, Makur Kulang, Panageng, Yellow Kurmatu, Chulual, Tarmajak, Man Kulang, a Jolan, and a Pau, and young man, you are. Wadana Barkadale, and you're garin mum tongo giving Kabangal Biwopin. Ye are you come to the Kuna boy, Kuna Port, no room be with you with Nongo, for your ruling young and Barpanda. You don't Kagaya Makur Kulang line and now I thought. Yamal and Nagatwara the King Yell be a rulia, find Makur, Kanatugalam, Yarulda, and Nongo door, Panyanga, Nongo, the Jorum, Langaria, the Chip and Coin, Balbaki, Joe Quayan. I just think you can jama with Marial Care on your winning jam. Yayoy, Yangal, Kazum, Kabria, Dog by Ruru, Jogging, Lemiriaki, Nere, Panigino, Balbaki, Yinale, Jabale, you can be in Bank, come by tea, and weekend. Being there, you maku pulang away to an air and for the cadin will lag by within the pot. Meet ka wed, meet ka me, could yarka by the kid man, and yaw pulang young. Putting the Martha or my better nam, good Martha get that, their man you bull. Yar get the yiki, Yam, Joggy, you need a maku pulang len, woman.
Thank you, guys. Please start sharing the video while we are waiting for people to come. I'm playing the music, so the show will be conducted in English mostly for the non-Dinka speakers can listen what we are talking about. So please start sharing. And also, Peter Mayenriak, please, I know you are not my friend on Facebook. I send the link in your inbox. So check your inbox. It's coming from Abraham Medimajak. So that's the link there. So please start sharing the video while we are start out.
You know, Kirian is Banda. I will get a Jenny, Kuduman, and it's yet. The king and King Jim, who are up in get to my teeth, you know, Professor Kajete is Bandin, from eating them salt to the easy. You know, be nay, a Jaconga, take them, kill my yard, Minnesana, get your foot on in Yali, Lake Banyan, my child. I am on where the Where the Alpha Koradam, Edrogon. We want the Madunan Gandalam Suxalam, Pebulum Chapulu, Bella de South Sudan, Regional Nation. يا جنوبنا ندبان مشاكل كل يوم يا لبل تابانين سيبو قبليا يا لبلوم كاجانون يا الجلي مبتاو كان جاكسيان ببيجي شابيو ببي مداليك مبتان لوي كان جاكسيان baye muktan ben kudogo man na lijezian kijini dini jemu mande kwani yego bakunjeli.
Alrighty. Thank you, guys. Thank you, everybody, for coming in. My name is Abraham Madip Majak. I'm one of the Extreme Media hosts. Our program for today is Inside the Politics. Sometimes we can stop South Sudan politics, and sometimes we host social event, church event, and everything here in Lake State Media. So on behalf of Lake State Media team, we thank you, our viewers, our support for make Lake State Media be a well-known media in social media, and we are improving every day. So to make Lake State Media has a powerful media. Yeah. So my brother, Dr. Sandy John, welcome to Lake State Media. So for today, I invited Dr. Sandy John to Lake State Media so we can have a round table discussion. So a couple of days ago, Dr. Sandy John wrote a very wonderful, very good articles, and he posted on his timeline. And I was so moved when I reading it. It's a long, but it's a very moved. And I'm being that's why I'm asking him today to come to Lake State Media, and we can talk about these things, issues, because there are a lot of good stuff in that article that he wrote a few days ago. So Dr. John, welcome to Lake State Media. How are you, sir? I know it's the evening over there in Nairobi, Kenya. So how are you, and how is your family? Happy 4th of July from us here, and also happy July 9th to you guys in South Sudan and around the world. So welcome to Lake State Media. How are you?
I am very okay. I'm fine. Thank you very much, Brother Madit Majak of Lake State Media, the host, and your colleagues for having me today once again. I've been here before, and I believe I have returned to share with people today. And like usual, we begin with introduction because viewers are not static. They are dynamic. Some of them can be known viewers that have been frequently viewing whatever the Lake State Media does, and some of them might be new. So I have to introduce myself once again. I am Emmanuel Sande de John, a South Sudanese, and by training a medical doctor, and of course a writer. I've been interested in writing from long time ago, and currently I am the chairman of South Sudan United Front Progressive, and I have many other names that you can use to call me, including the village names that I've used recently to remind my brothers and sisters that I have left in our rural parts of the country, and that I still remember and that I will never forget about. So that is the brief account of who I am, and I am glad to be here today to share the views on whichever topics that will be shared with the audience through the instructions of the host. So thank you very much, and yeah, let's go.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Dr. Sunday. Thank you so much for coming in again. Yeah, before I go to the next, about asking you about your party, let me ask you about the article that you wrote. So can you explain to us about why you wrote that piece and very important? Went back because the title that I put on this show is about the Dirty Cattle Boys. So what that is, because it's a catchy, the title itself is really moving because the Dirty Cattle Boys. So can you explain to us and the viewers about the title and what and about the piece of that article that you wrote?
Well, yeah, recently I posted.
Hang on, Peter Mayenri, I saw you on lobby, but your camera is not connected and your audio is not connected. Please, can you connect your camera with the audio, and then you can be able to come. I cannot able to bring you up because you are not connected. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I wrote an article 2 days ago, and the title of the article is "Dirty Cattle Boys: A Recall of Boys' Lives at Nakuru Panalang and Beyond." The article that I have written is actually a reminiscence of my life as a boy. You know, I am a combination of many things. First of all, I am a son of a community belonging to Irul. And my society, the entire Irul, that was later divided into three, namely Awerial, Irul East and Irul West, people there are nomadic pastoralists. They grow crops and they also keep cattle. And when boys are born, the family has the euphoria of bringing those boys up in a manner that meets the requirement of the local traditions, regardless of whether they were to be put in school or not. So I currently do not stay in the cattle camp, but I know what transpired back. And that is why I gave an account, a very brief account of my life in that stage. And by the time I was in the cattle camp, I was also a student, or a pupil rather, in our rural schools, and I can actually off to share now from time to time as a writer about the memories of that good life of those days. So I opted to write that an article to also give an account about the silent cattle keepers that are being ridiculed day and night just because they keep cattle. And keeping cattle is not an impediment to any growth. And the last time I checked, South Sudan was the lead country in terms of cattle, and America is the second. So if Americans, who are the superpowers of the world, do keep cattle, I feel like ridiculing South Sudanese because some parts of South Sudan keep cattle, like the wider Dinka community, the wider Nuer community, and the wider Mundari society, plus also all the other tribes that are considered not to be cattle herders are also herders in their own ways. So when you live with the cattle, you are dirty. But that does not mean the internal part of you is that dirty, because cultures varies. Wearing a suit and you go to a rural setup is completely a unique matter. So I wrote that that article as a way of expressing my boyhood life. I have lived in cattle camp and the villages of our area. I have lived in all parts of Irul, and I speak the local languages that are spoken there. When I was a boy, I actually grew up under the care of my maternal uncles. My maternal uncles are Kwiti, but my grandmother is a Tuot from a Kut section of Irul, and she used to live with me as a child that was left under her care following the demise of my mother, as she felt to the adverse effect of the war that was affecting our country. And there, my maternal uncle, the brother to my grandmother, is called Akenymayan. He is from a Kut community, but the section of Akut he comes from are based in a place called Alel Jungun, the Alel of Panedam. And there we keep cattle along Gel, we call it Gelangon, and we also go to the bigger Toch, the Chirko area. That was when I was a very small kid, before we left for Ethiopia. And when I went to Ethiopia, I returned again, and my grandmother had the cravings to keep me with her, and she had to withdraw me from school in Mapodit. And then we lived again in those territories of Gelangon. I could keep cows in places like Amelmel, places as far as Bongbalang and other cattle camps that others would not even know, even if you come from Irul. And that is the rural life I am trying to state here. And when you are living there, you are hardened. You learn the skills of life. And those are the skills I have expressed in parts. And we used to be under a very, very brilliant Atuot man who was also clad with aliap, because my granddad is truly a son of Yirul who has diversity, and he was a proud person who lived with others, including his in-laws. He married a daughter, Obanyina Port. It's called Nijong Anyat. My grandmother, Nijong Anyat, comes from Koga Port, or Pap Anong Nynger. So I lived with the Aliap community so well. And I also lived with Atuot when I grew up to a certain stage in life. And I was initiated under Atuot. Although my maternal uncles, the origin of my mother is from Lagakudu of Kwete, and I am from Hadur community. That is how diverse I am. So you can call me Atuot, you can call me Church, you can call me Aliap, and I agree with you on that, because I have lived in all areas of my beloved land, and I understood what it is from the basic life support of the Dinka community, that is the cattle, because Dinka will not do without cattle. If you take a cattle away from Dinka, you have actually doomed the society by condemning them to death, because they are intertwined with cattle. It is a source of life in many ways, including the pride. If you do not look after your cows properly, you are a failed son. And there I learned the art of keeping cows, and also the art of protecting them from any harms, including from wild animals. And if you could hear me talking yesterday about how we were capable of defending ourselves, we use different mechanisms, including defense against wild animals, using dogs and other tools that are available, including modern weapons. All those are not meant to kill others, but are meant to protect the resources. Cattle themselves are a resource in many ways. To a Dinka, first of all, if you have cows, you have a reputation. That is one thing. You have a reputation. Cows are not just animals. They are animals that confer a value. And anybody that underestimates them does not even know the resources. That is one. Cows are a source of pride from the Dinka society. Because if you do not have cows, you will never have a biological success unless you do it criminally. And by biological success, I mean you will not get married. And if you have cows, you can be given the choice of your life without difficulties, provided that also other factors are considered, including a background check. Right. Because a Dinka society will not give their daughter to any other man that has cows or resources, unless he is also checked, including what values does he have? Does that person confer any values that are commensurate with the societal needs? Those things are the bottom line. Cows also are the ingredients of what we refer to as coexistence. A man who is moving with a cow in the territories of Yirul will not be treated as an enemy, unless these days. But those days you will be received by a community and welcome, because you are a strong person and you are moving with the resources, and you could be a good person in that character. Then, when we used to head cattle, the life is nomadic at some point. But that does not mean villages are not static. When you move from one place to another, it does not mean you are going to occupy a territory. It means you are only going to graze. And if the grazing season, you are grazing your cattle. If the grazing season has shifted because it changed also with the seasons, when it is becoming very wet, you go to the highlands. And those are referred to as Gok in Dinka. You can call them Kwajajot Gok. They say like that. And in Atuot, they say Neugo. So you can live now from Toch to the highlands. That is one change. And because the highland will provide one good grazing land that is dry, And if it is dry, it is free from diseases and other pests that would infest the animals and give them diseases. So you have to keep them safe as well. That is one movement. Another movement is when it becomes dry, you go back to the torch so that the cows could get grass that is not drying up, and the torch confers a lot of things. That is another land. And these cows, like human beings, require minerals in their bodies. The levels of minerals in torch is low, and the levels of minerals in gog is low. So you go to bark. So this bark confers salt to the animals. This is how the nomadic lives comes in. Because if you keep those cows in one place over 1 year, you will see changes in them. They will not even like the place themselves. And this happened with all the animals. And even with agricultural, that is not an animal husbandry, the ones that we refer to as crop production, you can also move from place to place. That is called shifting cultivation if you want good results. Because a soil also can refuse after sometimes after it has lost the polar aspect of it, including the minerals down there that could be used by the roots that can be absorbed now as minerals for its growth. All these are what amounts to a dirty boy. A dirty boy is him that looks after cattle as a source of livelihood and pride, and also the necessity for the growth of the family. That is that aspect. And when you live there, there are things you have to learn. One, you have to learn the art of protecting your cows. That is one. Number two, there are prestigious activities that young people would do. One of the prestigious activities that they would do is the involvement in the wrestling arena. Except maybe in other communities like Nuer that practice other prestigious things that also are commensurate with what the Dinka and Mundari will do. The Mundari society are like Dinka in very many ways. One, they are agro-pastoralists. Two, they actually do activities that are done in Jiang area, including the removal of the lower teeth as an art of being considered a man enough. And that necessarily does not mean a promotion to the next stage, because there are also other rituals for initiation. So when I was young, I lived in several territories with the people that I have mentioned before. And when I grew to a certain age, my uncle, who was directly taking charge of me, because my father left in 1983 to the bush, and he could not come back because the liberation struggle was keeping him busy as he moved from one command territory to the other one from 1983 down the line. And he commanded a number of forces, so he was not directly with me. And then also my uncle also left, joining the SPLA, now the more division, while my father was with the Tiger and Timsa. You know very well how they blocked with Wusas Daniel Ayual Makoy, the students that left with him in our territories of lakes. Then the likes of Uncle Marial Chinwang, the likes of my father, the likes of Uncle Majanga Chengdi, the likes of Uncle Mangar Bonga Luing, the likes of Uncle Machanga Koit Piruchayer, and many other people like Makwani Bado, and many other martyrs that have fallen, Tujilu Arioya, and all those other sons of Yerul that gave their life for the liberation cause. And then I remain here as somebody that was growing up, because I was born and the war itself claimed my mother, so I have to be taken care of by my uncles and my grandmother, who is the key person. And later on, I was moved to Ethiopia with other family members, so that the basic was getting education, but eventually we got trained. And my colleagues during the training time is Brother Agel Machar. I don't know where he is now, so that we can also join hands here and talk about our Jesh Amir life that I will give an account about later. In the future. When I was writing this, I was actually reminiscence. I was remembering my life when I was young, and I was actually living with cows. I was living with dogs. I was living with other young people that are like me. And we were practicing to become strong wrestlers in the future, which I became later when I grew up, because that training has to start from a small origin. Then you grow like that. So
Right.
when I grew up in that territory, I told you, I only remembered in writing, but I remember almost all of them, and I will put them in writing. This might be a novel that would be read by people then. So I remembered what I called 1996 live in a triangle of 3 cattle camps that are in the form of triangle. The other one is referred to as Talimat. You know, our people name things after certain events.
Right.
When people were moved out by force somewhere, they learned the art of Talimat in Arabic that is used by the SPLA forces. That is Talimat, you must go away far from Yirul town because we're going to attack Yirul. So when they move and dock at a certain point, they call it a Talimat. And then another point was called Gompok. And the other point was called Banya. Banya is a local name. Talimat is an Arabic borrowed terminology. They were ordered so that they go far away from Yirul in case the war erupts. They could not be victims when Arabs were actually occupying Yirul town. And then there is this Gompok, is another cattle camp that was there also. And this was named when the forces under the command of late Uncle General Marial Noir were doing a forceful conscription on what later became a Chondak that was involved in what they call the operations in Equatoria, Central Equatoria, basically from Kaya, Morobo down to Ye, and eventually it ended up in the other parts of Bargazal and also closer to Juba around 1997. So when Marial was doing this conscription, I mean forceful recruitment, the place was also named Gomfok. You see, yes. So we kept these 3 cattle camps in huge numbers. And when it comes to the month of August, you know very well, August to September, they are usually referred to as Bill, Penbill.
Yes. Bill.
Yes. Yes.
They're called Bilti, Bilti, right?
Bilti and build it, yes.
Yeah.
So these bills are known for good things.
Yeah.
First of all, the crops have yielded so well, particularly the groundnuts, the grams, the green grams, the beans, and the simsim, and of course the early dura, like what they call nyanjang or rabjang, yes, have really ripened, and there is plenty of what to eat, whether in the setup at the cattle camp or in the villages. But that time also means cows are not producing a lot of milk. See, cows are not producing a lot of milk, and people depend on the produce from the village, because the cattle are not kept far away now from the villages. And when these resources from the village are brought to the cattle camp has an environment that is not equal to the ones in the homes, because back in the village, people lived now in closed houses, and these closed houses will confer heat. They are hot, so and at the same time, when you have eaten things like bean, it will not be very good when it is hot. Some boys will even develop quite. You understand this now? They will develop dyspepsia. We call it like that in medicine. There is indigestion occurring because of the hot weather and too much eating, and the time for digestion is quite short. But in the cattle camp, you actually enjoy. You can eat anything. But in the cattle camp, cows are also protectors of people as people protect them. So if you have made your small local bed, you just sleep on it, because the mosquitoes will not come. The cows are capable of beating off the mosquitoes with their tails, and then you will just sleep in an open air where there is no any problem. More so, the boys and even other adults will lit the fire. You call it gol in Tongmonjang. They will lit it, and the smoke will go up. It will ward off all the insects, and later on, it becomes very comfortable. So if you have the luck of having a cow and the cattle camp is closer to the house, you can even eat your groundnut and run there, because you will sleep in an environment where you can you can actually enjoy the sleep comfortably. And while this happens, there are activities to be carried out. With the grown up, they go to talk to ladies. That is called kornin. You go to the buyer of the lady, sit there, you talk with her. You might go back or end up moving to a different place with your friends later. That is not a factor now that we can consider so much here. We will talk later on if there is need for exemplifications, including how kornin is done in one section of Yerul to the other.
Is it Kurni or Kurmon?
Yeah. See, yeah, I am coming now. The boys now, when after eating and after having prepared everything, because boys are more responsible in the cattle camp than in the village. The village responsibility is with women and girls, and more so some adults. But in the cattle camp, boys are the main people. First of all, they care for the cows. Second, they are the ones that milk the cows and put the milk according to the division that has been done with by the elder that would say these cows will be milked for so and so, these cows will be milked for so, and the boy keep this in mind, and when he has cleaned the goats, he will begin to milk the cows and put the milks according to the arrangements that was already made. And when the need comes up later, now the boy will now begin to be the server. He will take the goat for the men, the young men, give it to them. And he has to stay until they are done so that he can also collect back the goats. You see, it is a responsibility. And also, you can give to the elderly, and you can sit closer to the younger ones so that you feed them. And when they are well fed, it is your responsibility as a good boy to prepare where they will sleep and ensure that they have slept. And before you could go now to play, you have to check the wire. If the cows have dropped the dungs, you collect them, you put them away, and you make the environment dry. The cows will sleep comfortably. You see, these confer to them feast, and they will as well sleep well and produce more milk tomorrow. And you see, and also they will look healthier than you would be thinking. A dirty cow is a cow that is not being cared for. And after you have done that one, the boys now would go to play. And when you go out playing, there are always types of play that would be chosen. One of them would be a certain thing called aluet. You see, the boys will select one person to stand alone, and the crowd stand at a distance. And then you begin to call, while we're there, they will all agree, Huawei or yo. Or so after, yes, book, I will go there. So you will say, "How will they will begin to say anything. They may insult you. You see, and you now go. If you go there, they will run to where you were. So if all of them have reached to where you were without you touching one of them or catching one of them and wipe the face, then you have eaten nobody. So in your mouth is rotten. You have no ability as an animal that is considered wild to capture one. This is aluet. Is one part of it. But there is this top one, the one they call kormong. Yes. This kormong is called like that in all areas of Yerul. In Atuod, it is called kormong. In church, it is called kormong. It is also called the same in Aliap. So people sit down as big group. And one person again is selected to stand up. And this person that is standing will fool anybody that he has managed to catch, whether from the arm, from any part of the body that he can grab to fool you out. If he manages to fool you away, then two of you now have become wild, and you will begin to fool all the people until they are done. But if you make a mistake that you are caught by the sitting group, you will be put in the middle, and you will be scratched with the nails, you will be beaten up until you become tired. This game is meant for a number of things. One, it teaches you that you should endure. If you are being scratched by pinch or whatever, you will begin to learn that pain can be endured. There, you gradually grow into a resisting person. That is one. Number two, you will also deny them the right to pinch you. It means you will have to confer force. this is another training that you become powerful. You see, those are the games we play at night. And this triangle of Banyata Alimat, I have a number of young boys that were subscribing to my teaching. I mentioned few of them, but they are plenty. If I can recall my Panekar group, if I can recall my Makurpanalang group, if I can recall my Gangang group, you will actually be amazed. Most of them have gone to schools. They are living decent life in different parts of the world. Some of them have achieved in different professional sectors. And the boys that I bring closer together are the likes of Machengnel Koryom, Machengnel Makany, Makunpornel Koryom, the likes of Bilpa Madul, the likes of Makurimana Chen, and so many other boys like Atir Gaya Atir, Mamurpai Mamur, and many other young people. I cut across. I don't give a damn about which section you belong to in our community. I am, as I mentioned, existing in all parts of Irul, and I know whether the poorest or the places that are inhabited by the people. That was it. That was the play of Kormong that I brought up. And here also, these boys are hunters. They can hunt different things. First of all, you combine everything. If people have gone to touch and you do not have a pitching spear, you are a loser. Because during touch life, milk in the first place will not be enough, and it is a dry season. Right. Cows are not getting enough grass, and you will not expect much milk. And if there is milk, it will be good for children, the weaker ones that cannot fend for themselves. And also the elderly, including the women, will come to the cattle camp. And by that time, boys or men are no longer responsible for cows. It is the women that will milk them, and you will not even know where the milk goes, because they spend the whole year without seeing cows. Now it is their turn to share. Greetings, Maulana, Ambassador Emmanuel. Greetings to you.
Greetings, Emmanuel. Greetings.
Yeah. So the mothers and the sisters will take care of cows in terms of milking them, and during the dry season, of course, boys do not get bothered to look after cows, except the younger ones that have just been born and they are learning to graze. That's the time you will go and actually bring the grass to them. You
Why don't the guy say that you are the best wrestler in your area? Do you know how to wrestle?
Of course, yes. I have wrestled until I retired without a single defeat. And my wrestling was not the type of running. No. I confront equally with the force, and then use the tactics that I have. I could hear one Ajangopur saying he has 12 styles. I have more than that. Then I will talk about it. Even if it is not in this setup, maybe in another setup, I will talk about it. Because wrestling is a pride. If you are from a certain community and you have become so strong, in that particular time, you will be a pride of the entire society. And you are also a symbol of love. You see? You are a symbol of love. Everybody wants you to do the game for them, just like athletes. If Rudisha runs here in Kenya, if he is running in the United States of America or in the United Kingdom, we all clap for him while we are seated in Nairobi. That is because he is representing all of us. That is what happened with the young. So now during the dry season, the boys will use the fishing spear to get themselves what to eat. Some of them will use the hook. If this torch is not cheer, because there is also Tony Quick and there is also Tony Atut. And those torch are not like cheer. They are narrower, and they always confer good fishing with a lelel in a torch and a bornal.
If I was at the eagle, so I will be a referee between you and Emmanuel.
Emmanuel cannot manage to wrestle me. He can wrestle me in other areas.
I will be a referee.
Yeah, but with the true wrestling that, like the ones that happen in Juba, he won't come closer to me, because the crowd that I will have will be enough to scare him up even before he could see me. We're joking. So we do fishing of all types, and we also hunt the small animals along the Nile or along the rivers. There are small animals that are there commensurate with the boys' abilities. And they can give you what Johnson Jog referred to as na Junuba Dik na la Yabror can mera to great. Yeah, and na lo roar that you couldn't be few deck that if you go to the forest you cannot just return. You will return with something that would make you drink water. That is what happened there. And if people come to go, first of all, foods become so many. From the initial stages of the raindrop, that is the spring, you will begin to eat a book.
A book, yes.
A book. A book. So
there's two types of book, right? There's a
yes.
sweet one and
yes.
a mild one. Sweet.
Yes.
Yeah, sweet one.
Yeah, you get all of them. There is no crime cutting across, provided that they are not bitter. And you also eat things. You can even use the axe that you use to make the sticks that are used to keep the cows down. They call them lach. A garden like one can also be used by clever boys to dig the roots of a man. You know this, yes, and other roots that are there. And you eat things like a blood and hello.
Yeah, keep going. Yes. Yes.
Yeah, you eat a blood. Other foods are there. George, even some boys will eat George. Some of them will eat gumbel, and the life goes on, including something called choloj in Thongagar. We call it dijuit in Yirul. All this becomes the necessary foods now. And again, boys also do eat certain things. They become blacksmiths at some point. They become blacksmiths. They will even work hard to ensure natural twine. If there is rain, they will begin.
Brother,
yeah, this Deng Didayok Dengagor is my brother. We went to our village to Langmatot with him.
Oh, really?
During the burial of my father. This one is my brother. Is my young brother. And we have also worked together in Khartoum Monitor. I was there for them with Kolayom Wegateng and other young people. They are my brothers, actually. We have come a long way together, although we live in different parts of our continent now. So that time we can go to look for honey by warding off the bees with the smoke. You use just a cow dung that is dry, and then it generates a lot of smoke. You now put it to the local hive. You call it cook in Tongda, and some of them are also in the ant hills. And then you get your honey and you eat it. But beside that, there are other things that are sweeter than honey, including a milkuchin. It's just smaller even than a fly. And there is another one called kurwet. It's bigger than a fly and smaller than honey. And it produced also very, very sweet. I don't know how it would be called. Would it also be called honey or what? I don't know. Yes, kurwet. Yeah, there is kurwet, there is a milkuchin, and there is church itself. All these are our foods as boys. And there you become strong. In other societies, boys are even denied the right to have milking cows. Okay? This is not because somebody is so greedy and wants to eat alone. No, it is to harden these people. You see? You have to be hardened so that you become strong, you develop the resilience, you love the cows, you become a man as time goes by. And when you are initiated, the initiation rites differs now slightly from a community to community. But Yirul East generally have equal way of doing it. For example, boys are grouped together from one clan, or some also cut across, because there are clans that have closer relationship that can initiate their boys together. These boys are brought together and taken to a house of a spiritual leader, where there are expert mothers that will now cut off the remaining small hair that was left there purposely for that. And if you cannot manage also to fight your way to get this hair cut off, and you remain to be the last, you will be called a great in Tongchit. And you have to train us before you reach that stage, so that nobody would bypass you if you are standing on a queue waiting for your opportunity. And then you will now, that one will be cut, you will be closed into a lock, and early in the morning will be released to run. The pastors, of course, will stand where the elders have mentioned, and then the arrangements would be done. It could be done maybe from the height, if you are the fastest runner, and also capable of defending that position, you can offer it to your cousin that was not capable of being there. So, because in our culture, you don't eat your power. You see, you use your power to help others. That is the bottom line for the Dinka boy.
So what age group do they do that during that age group?
It is slightly from 11, from 10 up to 12 there, 13. Others who are shorter and thinner would be allowed to grow further then. But now they are put together, even from 10. I can remember I took my young brothers and I initiated them, including the ones that was 10, that was not equal to the 13 one. And the other ones were 12. So I took them to get initiated then. So this is how it happens. They run, they group themselves, and of course they will begin to fight among themselves. You see, some of them will be selected and given the title of being called police. So they could be police, others would be inspectors, and then people will later on, after the arrangements and when they settle, will move around the village so that they meet where the ladies have gathered, so that the ladies could now choose, that is my husband, that is my husband, like that. You count them so that you come and talk about this later on or in the future. And if somebody has failed to be selected, because people are moving naked and you are being seen, if you are ugly, nobody will select you. And then the one that has not been selected will be called the husband of queen, husband of food. So in a money queen. So that is the name you will be given later. So that is how it happened in Chit. But in a Tuot area, what happened is the boys grow. They are not even told that you will be initiated. If the elders have seen he has exhibited the characteristic of becoming a man now, he is caught just suddenly, you see, and made to sit down, and then he's told tagro, and then you are beaten with the rope of a cow. Just if you are a loved boy, nobody will beat you so much. But if you are that boy that does not accept to be said, this is the right time also to give a little bit of punches to you, so that you can remember when you were a boy, you were not decent enough to attract the love of the elders. And then now you will be called a man. And also there is another that is common among Aliab and Atuod and Chit. If a boy has grown up, they will say this boy will now be initiated. You are caught like that, and in few hours you are taken to Duil. You know, Duil is a fattening season. When the youth have now gathered well, each one will come with a cow, like Madid with a cow, Adut Makur with the cow, Emmanuel Ajawin with cow, other people with cows. I am coming with my cow. Today we slaughter that one of Madid, we eat it all. Tomorrow it is for Sunday, we eat it all. After tomorrow, we eat that one of Adut Makur as we go on until they are done, according to the group that we have set up. That one is called Duel. It also confers enough eating opportunities so that you grow faster and become strong. That is also done to the other youth. And other youth are initiated like that. And if it is seen they will not get enough food in the cattle camp, they are given fishing net and also put under the trusted elders that know how to do fishing and taken to church so that they can also come there and eat enough so that they grow. That is now the initiation process, and that is how it happened in Irul. So before you get the initiation, you undergo these several trainings. So in our triangle, while we were training, I said we were standing out with two other guys, myself and two other guys. The other guy is called Ichud Malel. Ichud Malel was a boy that gets the best out of their grandfather's resources. He's a grandson of somebody called Majurutuk. If I tell you stories about Majurutuk from Greater Loarioin community, you will be surprised. He's a man whom we can describe with the characteristics of Manyang Job and Alira Ye plus Changmayan. Those people along that zone are known for their other powers that we cannot talk about now. So he's a grandson of Majurutuk, and his uncle is called Juhak Majur. He's a rich guy, actually. He was a rich guy. By Dinka riches means you have enough cattle and enough people. all those were with Juek Majur, including the sons of his sisters that lived with him. The other ones were a lot bigger than me, who was used to carrying a big gun called KGK after the capture of Irul. I think I mentioned it there.
Yeah.
Itur Malal was my age mate. We wrestled together. So at times he knocks me, and I also knocked him severally. And also there is another guy. He's currently in Irul. I don't know. I can be corrected. He's called Malian. Marao Abilian. He's a son of Abilian Achinkoch. You know, Abilian Achinkoch is a referee for wrestling, and he's also a coach. He later on became my big coach, together with somebody called Kulangmalo and Kulangmali or Panerin. Is a renowned cattle keeper. Those people, those young people were actually equal with me. My advantage was only that if it comes to time of fighting, I beat them, simply because I have the art of boxing, which they don't know. You see, and I also have the skill of taking the stick, which they know. There we can draw. And if we go for wrestling, we can also draw. But when it comes to boxing, I put few things, and then they give me my space. So that is how we grew up with those guys. Why they came to my memory is that they actually carried this strength forward to the adulthood. You see, they could wrestle. And I can remember there was a big match between me and somebody called Matai Daman in 2002. When our cattle camp was in a place called Akut, and they were in a place called Ameda Akut. So they said that this territory, this Chirkau, must be left for one man. If you are strong, you can be strong, yes, but you are not the leader. And this is my territory. I was very close to my grandfather's cattle camp called Renayur, you see? So why would somebody in that territory claim it when I am the owner of the territory? Of course, the claim is very simple. Knock me and you are the one, or not. You see? That is it. So when my match was organized with Matai Zaman, the first person, you see, we are different a little bit with the Dinka Bor and Twitch community.
Right.
With the Twitch and Bor community, it is the strongest, the toughest that comes number one to wrestle. But in our territory, you don't start because all people have not gathered. At least 2 or 3 starts so that the crowd could be big now. And then you come there, you see? So when this and the starter always has to be a boy that does not show any fear and that will not disgrace people by allowing himself to be knocked. You see? On the other side, they release a guy called Marao Abilian, the ones I was saying. And Marao, I knew him. And my people here do not know. So they decided to choose another guy. I don't want to mention his name. It would be like I am denigrating him. So I refused. I said, no, not him. And I was told why. I said, I know that guy that is coming there. Even me, he can wrestle with me. People were saying, really? I said, yes. So who do you want? I said, is my uncle Awoko Alier. See? So my uncle Awoko, I trust him. The styles that will come with Marao, if they could not be resisted for a draw, Awoko will at least take a win. Because you don't go away. He is the one, like another guy called Amalak, who has stolen one of my styles that I have never seen used, unless once in Juba, by one guy called Adier. This thing is called Dinglith. It has been named Dinglith. It's the style of wrestling. All these wrestlers here just push themselves with the tongue. That's useless. You have to have things like Dinglith. You have to have capacities like Jut. You have to have capacities like Alung and Yut. If you have those things, you are a hero that cannot be touched because you will be versatile. Even somebody can go up to your back like one man did, but I still brought him in front without running away. You see, because the skills are there. And always I insult, including my young brother wrestles in Juba here, my young brother and my 3 cousins. If you hear a boy called Atanga Court, that is my boy. If you hear that Makur that is always rowdy, he is also my boy, Makur. Makur's father then was my God. You see, he kept me for 2 years without meeting ladies just because of wrestling. And if I go to meet a lady, that is a problem. I will not have peace in the fire.
Wait a second. You said that, okay, during the wrestling, if you are a young man and you are not allowed to date or meet with the ladies, Simple. Why they do that in Dinka culture? Is it because of what? Is it
A number of things.
Yeah.
One, if you are a wrestler, you are a symbol. Okay. First of all, you are to be fed all the times, and
Right.
people have to offer you their meals. Okay, that is a factor. And if you go and date ladies, you will not have rest. You will be talking all night. Also, mere sex, let me be open,
Yes.
is a source of weakness. It drains your energy. Okay, I can attest fully that I was kept by the father of Makor for 2 years or more with a cousin of mine called Makung Majak in a cattle called Jangog. As we move around, no lady is allowed to mingle with us. She is either going to be insulted or we are getting insults. You see, this is to keep you strong. And if you drain your energy by running after ladies, you will not be qualified as a field officer in terms of wrestling. This is something that they should also discover. It's a secret of wrestling.
Wow.
You mingle with ladies, you knock
interesting.
no one. Okay? You mingle with ladies, you knock no one. So that is what I refer to as a dirty life in the cattle camp.
Yeah.
But when you are in the cattle camp, you actually eat the healthier. Okay? Except when people would refer to you as somebody who is eating dirty food. For example, when a cow is slaughtered, most youth in the cattle camp will like to roast it on fire directly. They can put it aerobic or on a burning fire.
Right.
And when it is brought, you just do it like this and you eat it. You see, that is a big force. Medically, it confers a lot of immunity because you will also mingle with microorganisms and your immunity will be sensitized and you will be defended from anything that comes. That is why people in the cattle camp, they live in a smoky environment. They lived where there is too much dust, but they never get asthma. The secret is because of the things that we refer to as death. It is actually health. That is what they are achieving like that. So this is the aspect of cattle life in just small summary. If I go really in details, we will not have sufficient time to talk about it. In that area also, I said that you have to learn the art of firearms. So I had a cousin of mine. I have him actually. He's there. He's called Mangar Kodinyuto or Mangar Kodilwed. He is a sharp shooter. If he is standing with a gun and he's pointing at something, you can tell him. You can even. There was time I told him to shoot the head of a mook. He did. I also asked him to shoot the head of guinea fowl. He did. You see? So I became his student. And during the liberation days, I returned from Ethiopia, and as a demobilized child soldier, I have to live with my village people. But I was given the right to possess a gun. And those days, nobody used gun against anyone. Okay? We used guns as prestige and also for protection of cattle from animals. Because raidings were very rare, they were uncommon. And inside Yerul or Lake State itself, nobody will dare go to Rumbek and raid a cow. You will be forced to give it back. Okay? And trying it with Aliap or trying it with the neighboring Atwood or church sections, that would be regarded as a crime. And those days, anybody that is found to be stealing, the songs would be composed. Okay? And if you have been initiated into manhood in Dinka society, you no longer do things that are considered not good for a young man. For example, you don't exchange bad words with women. Okay? Whether they are ladies, girls, unmarried, or the married ones, you don't exchange bad words with them. You will attract disrespect from your age mates. Also, you actually don't talk back to an elder unless in a good way. If you talk back to an elder, then you are not considered a good boy or a good young man among your peers. It was how we were brought up. And I am one of the people that would swear, since I was in cattle camp, I have never plotted any conflict with a neighboring community or inside my community. And to prove this, Banyuwudia is still in existence today, and he is called Maburdina Nyet, and also my cousin Atiom Diu, and also other cousin called Makwani Tongaram. They have never been involved in any conflict in the name of Sunday. Since I am a relative of Atut, there were times that they could not be allowed even to come to our grazing land. I defy that, and they have to come, including the lives of Chiang Tarajom. You see, this is the harmony we were developing. Right. And I can also attest that I have never stolen a goat from anybody or a cow, simply because the values of our family says don't be a thief. There was time youth even plotted in a cattle camp Colabear to steal cows that were loitering around. No owners were there. So they had to say, no, don't wake him up, let him sleep. If he comes here, this process will be spoiled. He will know it, and he will discourage people. They installed the cows, okay? And then they sent some of their representatives to take those cows to Kaltok.
Yes.
And later on, they were known by the owners. You know what? Commissioner Inland came, and they were chained. And I remained in the cattle camp alone with boys and ladies because I rejected the art of theft. You see, all these things have changed now. As a matter of honesty, I can admit they have changed now. Then those who are in the cattle camp don't fight the village people. Run by a Chetor Kekoi Wood. Why do you fight them? Run by a Chetor Kegaran Toch in a year command. You are the guest. So you don't have to fight with them. You ask them if you want to eat, if they have not decided. But it is uncommon that you come to a territory and people do not give you what to eat. No, that is not in Irul. Wherever you will go, whether in Aliap or in Atwood or in church, the bottom line is you don't carry anything because you will eat where you will dock. Your point of docking is where you can get what you eat. So when I recall this life, it is actually a life that was so brilliant. It was full of good things, you see. But because time changed, things, I don't know, they are not like that now. I was interested. I took my son through the grandmother. I took the son from Nairobi to Yirul. My interest is he needs to go to the cattle camp. My son Thorn has to be in the cattle camp at least every other season that he is not involved in anything, so that he acquire the immunities, he acquire all the hard lives or the good lives there. And when he comes back to town, no blockade. If a cowboy comes to town, do not think he is a cowboy. He will not fail to understand the topics that will be taught in that class he is in. Watch out, that cowboy will beat you. Exactly. Because from the milk and the related fishing and eating the wild fruits in the bush, there is sufficient omega-3 and 6 that have sensitized the brain, and you just have to be rubbing it like this because it's clean. I'm not saying all the cowboys would be very smart all. Yeah. But the truth is, if you have learned both ways, life becomes easier for you. And this is very interesting, you know. This is how, like before you take your parent took you to school, you have to be taken to the cattle camp first, be training before you your parent take you to school. This is how. Can you talk a little bit more about it? Why the Dinka tribe do that? Why they take the young boy to cattle camp first, or daughter to cattle camp first before they take them to school? Okay. Well, life in the cattle camp is actually full of lessons. It is full of lessons. It is a center of discipline. You know, if you have done something wrong in the cattle camp, even a distant person would discipline you. There used to be a man called Majijak. I don't know where he is now. He is a short person, but his names are not mentioned by boys at night. He was the kolkor of our cattle camp. This Majijak would discipline you. He will beat you up. He will make you do certain activities that will make you really feel bad about what you have done. And you know your relatives are watching. They will not ask him. It is his job in the cattle camp. He disciplines boys. You see? There, when you come to school, this thing called peer pressure is nothing. There is no boy from the cattle camp that would run away from a family house, whether in which city of the world, to go and do things that are not healthy. Mafi. If you have sent a boy in the cattle camp to go and bring water, he will not pick anything on the way. He will move like that until he reaches where that water is and bring it to you, and then later resort to the other activities. If you don't do it and you have been beaten twice or three, people will withdraw from you. See? And that is the worst part of it. So you won't accept a withdrawal in that sense. So the life in cattle camp is orientation and preparation for a bigger goal. It is not primitive. It is just cultural variations. If you think the Western culture that ladies walk half naked is the best culture, in my village, grown-up ladies that are even of marriage age walk naked. If you give them clothes, they will accuse you of having insulted them, of having slept with men. You see? This thing is getting rotten. Then in the Dinka society, a grown-up lady will walk naked. She will talk with a man, and they will even share a bed, and you will never do anything. If you try, you will go away disgraced, and you will never get her. See? That is a cultural variation. It is not primitivity. Every culture has its own ways of happenstance.
Right.
That is one. Also, the eating habits. Like me, it has remained in me. You will never get me along any street moving with what to eat. Not because I am grown up, even if I were small. I have a daughter here. She just moved this way. Okay? She is 11 years old. But you will never find her moving around with anything to eat on the road. If she wants to eat, she would sit somewhere and eat, then move. That is a culture. It's not primitivity. Well, these cultures would prepare you for a goal. And if your parents make you sit down and tell you that this is your duty, this is what you will undertake without deviation. They don't deviate. They go like this.
Exactly. And what about the peanut? What about the peanut groundnut? If you cannot allow to eat the groundnut that has not been cooked, can you a little bit more about that too? That's a culture, you know.
Well, in our territories, you know, people actually cultivate a lot of groundnuts.
Yes.
You have Mr. Lake then, and Topping Jam.
Yeah.
And then there are other small varieties like Malwalpit and Maborgok, plus Atwelgin. All those ones are one family. So they fall under these nuts, the groundnuts. Now, if the groundnuts have ripened, the boys that are small will eat them. And the stages of initiation to growth are different in our. There is the preliminary and the bigger stage. The preliminary stage here, if the lower teeth have been removed,
Right.
and you are seen eating groundnuts, your age mates will compose songs for you. It is uncultural.
Yeah.
The reason is the raw groundnuts are ready food. And if you are hungry, it is easy kind of food that you can eat quickly. But Dinka deny this. You don't have to get it quickly. It has at least to take some time for endurance purposes. So it is uncultural to eat raw groundnut. Not even the parak.
Yes.
Nachi jalba parak, it becomes something else. You will not even eat these groundnuts in an open area.
Open.
You see, whether they have been well cooked or not, you will not eat them in an open area. And just like all the other types of food, this is the respect of the society. Feeding is a building of oneself. If you are to eat, it is cold tongue. It's a fight by itself. So it is not just something to be practiced in an open ground.
And that is alone is practiced in Ural society, not in old Dinka, because I remember when we were in the bush, and when those Uralese boys were mingled together with the Malwan boys and both boys, and then people are hungry.
Yes. When the boys from, even in lakes, in Rumbek, they don't also eat toppings. They don't eat raw groundnuts.
Yeah,
when the boys from the other side of Barizal came the other time when we were flocking to Ethiopia around 87 there, okay, what happened is not boys, I have seen a big man eating raw groundnuts. You see, he remained as a member of our family. I also don't have to say his name. I don't want to also denigrate him. He ate topping it. And I ran to my grandmother. Mama said, Randy the cham topping it. And then I ran to my friends quickly. I was spreading the message so fast. And the boys came to our house to see what a grown-up man who is eating raw groundnuts look like. Yeah, it's a taboo actually in Dinka culture. It's a kind of taboo. You don't do it in Panirul. You don't eat raw groundnuts. But I learned from friends of mine from Awil. They told me that they were actually moving on a safari down when they were going to Ethiopia. They ended up getting groundnuts, and people were in the desert. So they started eating the raw groundnuts, and some guys from Yuru resorted to take the touch. And then they put the groundnut on the ground. They lit the touch like this, and then they started eating. So they said they are not raw now because there is light that has been used to I don't know, to roast them or whatever. So that was a joke anyway. That was a joke. I know there is no situation that would force a grown-up man in Irul to do things that are done by boys. Because that is also a characteristic that distinguishes you from the rest. That is not talking too much about Irul as a good place alone, but that is the uniqueness of Lake State. You cannot also get an Agar man that is grown up and that has been marked eating raw groundnuts. It is impossible. It's not going to happen. He will all prepare to even die than to do that one, because you don't die with shame, you die with the dignity.
With dignity.
Yes, that is what they say. So you cannot shame yourself. So you have to die as a dignified person. All those are the things that I call my recollection. And we hunt for the squirrels and other small animals here and there, and then you learn the art of arms and you become an efficient person. And then you can even go the extra mile. Like I started with blacksmithing, practicing skills, okay, under a boy that I refer to as Bolibol. Is actually a brother to Ambassador Koi, Dun Koi. So this Bol is very skilled in making arrows. He taught me, and we could even now walk away from the other boys by making some unique arrows for ourselves, him and myself. So when I learned this, I felt the art of blacksmithing is very good. So I team up with friends, and they taught me. We were lucky to live in a place that is closer to two blacksmith kinds of groups. There is a guy called Ngena Ye. That most boys who knows how to dance Kelai will always sing his name. They say see, these gar are things that you put. There is also a season for a certain practice. The ladies were having a season for kudaga. You see, there is a kind of dirping that is very unique for girls, not done by women that are married. There's a kudaga season. There are certain necessities for it. including those manufactured, I don't know, bangles that are usually from the, I don't know, the remains of big artilleries, like the Outzer and other ones that have been used. So they confer a kind of silver-like metal that is converted. The ladies will have, they call it madiek. So that is the Kudaga season. There was also a season, the same madiak, that's the same metal used for manufacturing of madiak is used also for manufacturing of a jack. The young men will put them here, and that a person who is wearing those metals on his leg will never urinate randomly. Yes, they will never urinate randomly. Tungakon is ever there. It's never changed. Tungakon, yes, is ever there with the ladies. They have big ruang. I mean, they have big tungakon that has been well designed. You see, there is an Aliab lady that raised it during the wrestling here, like this, when she is jumping around because the brother has knocked the opponent. See, that one alone is a big pride. Even me here, I was attracted, and I asked Anyar Jur, is my cousin, the MC.
Yes.
Telling him that, find that lady. Let me have her contact. I want to call her and say thank you for showing up that one. Because when I was growing up and I became a strong wrestler, I have my young sister. It's called Gong Joan Along. She was also growing with me. She was the talk of the entire village because she was beautiful. Nyanu Commander, people composed songs for us, and she was married up later on expensively, of course, to make me have more cows and move around. I know it is not a disadvantage, and it is a disadvantage at some point, but we are changing it slowly. The marrying of aspect of it, but not.
Another thing too, I witnessed it when I visit home. I saw those people in the village. They were having a black, the black stuff that they put in their necks and their leg. So that's a new thing. So when I was way back then, wasn't there, but few years when I've been studying visit home, I see that they are wearing it. In people mostly live in cattle camp.
Yeah.
And Mandari, I see Mandari are wearing it too.
Yeah, there was even time for lipstick. You see,
yes.
Those lipsticks were actually bought with cows. They are another season decoration. Just like you will buy two, they are another season decoration. I was arguing with some young people on Facebook the other time because they have seen Makwere. They call his nickname is Rambo. He's called Makwere Makircha Nyok. Yes, from Kwante. Is one of my maternal uncles. Makwere has the apparat in his hand.
Yes.
Yeah, and they were saying that if these young people from Yerul who have apparat would wrestle with our boys, those apparat must first be removed. And I told them that some youth have lost actually their fingers because of those apparat. Putting it there has broken some fingers.
Wow.
I know people whose fingers were broken because they need this to go there. You see, it has happened. It's something very precious to them. And buying it is not a joke. You spend a lot of resources. You can use a cow or cows, a cow or goats. You can also use a lot of money. If you have brother in town that will confer that opportunity to you to give you money to buy it. Now, because of a wrestling of one day, you want to come and destroy it because it will not come out like this. No, it's not happening. You will only hit it hard to break it. And then you are breaking his bull or his cow or his 300,000 or $500 or more than that. You will not accept. And good thing about a young, all this nonsense that people say, including Malaya, and all this, they're not commensurate with wrestling. If you are wrestling really, Malaya will not prevent me from throwing you down. All those are just nonsense that are coming up from other variations of thoughts. And you see, Munari don't complain about that simply because they know they also do it, and they don't see it as a harmful thing. And I know in wrestling nobody will come and hit you. It is not a fighting. It is a prestige. It is a show of strength. Nobody will even dare insult you in that area. So all these are what happened. And there were some people in the wrestling arena who were unlucky. And whenever they knock somebody, it angers people. And then people fight here and there. But that does not remain permanently. It's just a skimmage which gets separated. People like my mentors, then the likes of Pulagwe, and would be source of conflict. But that one has ceased long time ago. So these things that they wear in their necks, my friend, they are decoration of a certain season.
Season, exactly.
If you go next season, there was season of Sitihan with ladies. See, they will wear a short, I don't know, skirt, and it is called Gabona. It is called Ithiai in Tongatut. Sometimes called a chot. You see, the ladies will wear that one, and on top here is only Sitian. You see, when you are now being released to go and wrestle, and you look back at the Sitians, the adrenaline will shoot the sky high, and nothing in front of you will be stronger than yourself. You see, those are motivational culture.
Okay. Yes. So network is guys. Very good show. Okay, guys, the network is cutting off. We'll be back. So okay, so welcome back. Yes, you.
So also, hello, this one just cut off suddenly. I don't know what happened.
Yeah, maybe it's network. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a question that Deng Mayan has. Few people have that question. Can you answer that? For
what is?
Guys? I put it up on the screen. He said a small boy don't feel that's when they eat groundnut. So what the difference between the small boy? Why the small boy eat the groundnut? Yeah, more than before the big boys. So he won't know that. And I see couple of the guys that has the question.
Oh, okay, yeah. Nausea in meanings means the sensation or a feeling that you have to vomit. Small boys don't feel it when they eat raw groundnuts. That question is completely irrelevant in the sense that the reason why the elderly would refuse to eat the raw groundnut is not because they will vomit. That is not the reason. It is a cultural value that confers the pride of the youngs and the older.
Right.
You are not supposed to eat raw groundnuts because it's a cultural demand with its associated prestige. Not because if you eat, you will vomit. But when you reach a certain stage, there are certain things you don't do. Even in the Bible, there is a conference that when I used to be a kid, I used to think like a kid. And when I grew up, I think differently. So the whole thing is not about nausea. They will not have nausea. Even the adults will not. But there is a separation. The same way a grown-up person will do certain things that the kids do not do, and also avoid certain things that the kid would also dare to avoid. So, generally speaking, are you getting my voice?
Yes.
Generally speaking, power keep it in band. Generally speaking, yeah, let's go. It's okay. It is not all about nausea. It is a cultural prestige. So you cannot vomit at all if you eat that one. But if you eat that one, there is something that you will lose in the society. If you eat raw groundnut, there is something that you will lose in the society, including the reputation. So people will begin to talk about you in a small way. They'll talk small in small letters. Okay? Even during the marriage period, if you were lucky to get a wife, your children will not. They will say, "Mano nga ko pinyande buntia, mano ran rem topi." Gada nga yana kenya de bugor, ele gad me wale ko gwan topi and kirtau cham. So all this will affect you in one way or another. That is a society. It is a setup there. So those people that are asking those questions, if they go to Yerul next time, kindly don't eat raw groundnuts. Just help yourself by eating the kachi gate, so it will be good for you. There is no difference also. Also, there is no loss of value, even nutritionally speaking. Raw groundnuts will confer the same value like the roasted ones. There's no difference. So if you want to say they will not be roasted because a certain value will be lost, it's not true for that matter. Unless and it will not even be delicious if nacha kabayom. So that is that. Do they have another question?
Yeah, that's I think that's a very much question that they ask, and another thing too. Yeah, there's no another question that I see interesting. I can put it up. Yes. So
okay. Do you are we going to talk about marriage too?
Yes, go ahead. Yeah, well, let's talk about the marriage. Yes.
Okay. So
yes.
in my area of Lake State, generally, marriage take different forms. Marriage also is a prestige. It's a prestige because if you go out today to get married to a certain lady, a daughter of somebody, you first identify them who they are, just like we do in towns. But there is something called Kurnin.
Yes.
In the rural setup. In Panichich, if you are going now to talk with your girlfriend, you don't meet them on the road. It is not allowed to meet them on the road and spend much time. You can question them 1, 2, 3, and then they move if you were met on the road. But also there is nothing called, like I will call my girlfriend and we go for dating. Dating is done in the house of the girl, in their family house. Not in any shopping mall, not in any big restaurant, or not in any you call it, I don't know, a recreational garden. No. You go to their house. And there is no timing. You don't call them first to go there. You know you want them. So what you do is you prepare, either alone or with a friend. Okay? And it depends now whether their area, their village is far from yours or they are closer. If they are closer, lucky you. You can even eat in your house and then go now. When you reach there in Chich territory, normally you stand just near in the compound, but not closer to where people are sitting. And then you will give a signal by maybe clearing your throat. And then people will know somebody is standing there. See? And at home there are these small growing up girls. They are also being trained by the bigger ones on how to handle men later when they grow. So one of them would be asked to go and plotting command. You will go and identify you. And then you will come back and say, it's so to them, just in their private sitting there. Okay? The lady will decide to tell this young girl to go and tell you, no chance for sitting today. Or will say, okay, Lord, you will be given now a seat, or you will be asked to leave and come another time. That time you will come and sit with the ladies. You will talk with them on frequent basis if you want, as much as you want. Then, if you desire now to be allowed even to sleep there if you want, this will require your parents or guardians. So your guardians or your parents will be asked that if you are truly interested in our daughter and is not a kind of play, this has to be reported by those that are responsible for you. They will come and report this on your behalf. And if you want now to be a frequent visitor there and have rights, if it is dark, you can sleep there. Not with the lady, you can sleep in the bed. Okay? Then there is something called Wilbogi. A certain number of cows will be offered by your family. Okay? To give you the platform to frequently come to the house where the lady is as you continue with the engagement. You talk to in-laws, sisters, in-laws, even big mothers, the elderly. Some days, if your marriage is closer, you will even demand for the men to come and hear what you are saying. And when it comes to the time for marriage, you will now prepare. You don't try it, you do it. Because a competition will arise from nowhere. There is another Makwene somewhere that does not respect you. And there are even people who have a lot of cows that say they don't know how to see good girls. Somebody will see her and we will go and snatch her. You see? They will come. And when it becomes so much heated, even your competitors will hire a known village gossiper. A known village gossiper will be hired, will be given a cow or two to go and say bad things about you so that you get rejected. You see? That is how hard the marriage becomes. And if it becomes an open marriage, there are arrangements. Huh? First of all, Kurnin is done, you are now going to marry. When the marriage is to be conducted, the in-laws, the ones who have the daughter, will be moved from their place to your house or to your cattle camp, depending on where you want that marriage to be conducted. Okay? And also depending on the season. If it is raining, it has to be in the village so that people are not wetted up by rains. They will be moved there. Okay? They will come in their numbers. And when they reach closer to your house, the mother of the girl is a special person and she has her friends. You'll first slaughter a cow or if not a goat so that they jump over it. Okay? And there is a prepared house, a good, well prepared room for her and her friends with beds or whichever arrangement that has been made depending on your status. Recently in Europe as a whole, you must provide mattresses. And the husband has brought mattresses and other beddings, including bed sheets, that would now be spread around by the people to go with them when they want to go.
And mosquito net too.
And mosquito net. So even tents now.
Yeah.
So tomorrow, the time will be allowed because people will be drunk from both sides, and drunk people will not listen to one another. So what happened is they dance. Tomorrow, when they are now settled, the elders from this side and the elders from that side, the men, will sit somewhere that has been organized, and then they will start with a gamlung, the interpreter. You give a bull to the interpreter to stand now to translate whatever would be said here, even if it is one language, he has to say it the second time. The in-laws will start They will start with now good words, greetings, and all those sweet statements. And after the Moragamlung, that marriage has to be open. The opening.
Yeah.
At the minimum 5 cows, 3, 5, 10. And then people will debate. The other side will say we agree, and this is the number of cows that we will give. That is a TikTok is done. And then now it will be followed by the hot one. They are launching now. They will ask 150, 200 as a loan. It is up to the other side to accept like that if they can afford, or at least use the capacity that they have to settle it.
Wow.
And then they will go to the other loan. And then they will now come with the MCOs. Why are you take? That part of your time, I just left it behind. It starts actually with your family. Deciding on who to pay what during this time.
Your immediate family, yes, exactly.
You see? So why are we here? When that one is done now.
And why not? You talk to one nod. If one nod is not.
Yes, the next one is the uncles now.
Yeah.
Is a marriage by itself. When one another is settled, they will say, now, you come up, yes, so that all the cows, whether which section, would now be put together. They are represented with small sticks. And they can remember all of them in huge numbers. This stick was this cow, it was this cow, like that. They'll recall.
Very interesting, very interesting.
Now, there would be cows that will immediately be taken now, some that will remain behind, and some that would be maybe they would come or not. Okay? And now, there is what they call Tingomedani. The mothers there, several mothers will go with youth, because youth want to eat from them. And they will now go. That is the time goats will be brought there. You just admire.
And then the new thing, they call it Kalbash. They call it Kalbash.
I am coming to the Kalbash.
Oh, that's okay.
I'm coming to the Kalbash. What will happen first is Judidiop. The mother-in-law has prepared a lot of things, and the youth will now take her somewhere, and then she is carried on their neck. You see, they will shoot here, they will dance, they will do whatever. And you are going to pay cows for that. After Judidiop, she will be dropped with her friend. And then they will come with what? With Kalbash. You are handcuffed. The husband, I was handcuffed with my mother-in-law.
Mother-in-law, yes.
And then forced to the field to dance. We dancing together. Then I have my songs and the songs of my father. They were used now. And Chindiaruun will use now the songs of the clan. So you dance with your mother-in-law, and now you pay the cow so that you get separated. The handcuffing is separated. But by that time it is being separated, women will run away. That is the rebellion of Yao Yao. It's called Yao
Yao. Yao, yes.
All the young women will run to the bush.
Run away, Yao Yao.
This is the time you will come with money to go and appease the Yao Yaos all around. Tell them that Yao Yao come home. They will say, I need 1,000 pounds. I need $1 million. I need what? They will tell you whatever they deem right. And depending also on your relationship with them to bring Yao Yao home. And there you will now go and collect all those cows, give them to your in-law or in-laws, go and ask now with your family that we now need our wives. This is the task we have done. It is up to them to say, okay, this is the point. Or they say, no, we have another guy that wants to marry our daughter elsewhere. We are going. So what happened now is if there is another competitor, you have to wait so that he has to do the process that you have done till when they are done. And then the family of the girl will sit down now. My friend, this thing will not rest with the cows you have paid. Even how you have behaved among your age mates will today be discussed. It will be discussed feast by feast. You see? Some people will do what they call yai during the marriage settlement. And that one is called Yanadir.
Yeah,
Just like a mosquito has come to somebody's ear and made noise. So it is not a loss to the in-laws, and it is not a guarantee you are getting the lady. But when they have settled and they have agreed, the true I will now symbolize that. It's just like a smoke at the Vatican. A selection of the Pope. So that is the next thing that will come. And then you will now decide how the wife will be prepared for you. Traditionally, or you will use church wedding, which is also another tradition of itself. And then you get the wife. Today you are a bride. And it takes a longer time. It's not a runaway matter. Yes, girls can be eloped in Dinka culture, but that is when you are inviting trouble. If you have eloped with somebody's daughter or you have impregnated them, it depends with the cover that you will do and the presentation of your family and the respect that you deserve in the society, based also on your character. And that way, you will not be respected long enough. It would even follow your daughters. They'll also be run away with in the future.
Right.
That is this how these values are.
And Sunday, like as you said it all, nowadays the culture change. People look things in different perspectives. Like the marriage, for example, and you see, like we, the South Sudanese who are living West Africa, we see that very thing that you explained. People said, "Oh, that is outdated. Why the girl will marry so many cows? Why this is for example, like I think a couple of years ago there was one of the marriage that's been done in Lake State. Is mostly this guy is from I think you know about this story. This guy is from in Somalia actually, if I'm right. And there was a guy who paid like a car, 500 cow. That will become a news in international worldwide. So that is okay, woman, the girl I say all kinds of course. Can you see how other culture environment has been changing and how people look into the Dinka culture in different way, how the Dinka people themselves look at it?
That is a good question. In the first place, culture is a culture. Any change in that culture is acculturation. Any change in culture is acculturation. And recently I was in a church and a priest has mentioned three vital things. And those are the biblical teachings. That if Israelites, a man from Israel or a woman from Israel, moves to a different part of the world, they go with three things. They ask the authorities or people concerned there to give them a place to conduct their meetings. That is the prayers. They will not abandon their religion. They don't part ways with their God. That is one. Number two, they preserve their culture. Number three, they preserve their language. These three things to Israelites are a do or die. That is exactly how the cultural values are to societies, and particularly to the societies that I come from. This is what I know. So the adoption of Western cultures or Eastern cultures is not the civilization. Nuer are civilized in their own way. Monjang are civilized in their own way. Bari are civilized in their own way. The same thing with Zande. They are civilized in their own way. And those values, if you abandon them, it is the acceptance of acculturation, and it is not civilization. If you think it is civilization, I don't have a problem. anything that has negative drawbacks is what is subject to evaluation. Okay? People are now advocating that we should abandon the cultures that we have. First of all, the society will lose value. Today in your village, Majung Chithiop, today if you go back to Majung Chithiop, there is no single prostitute on any street.
Right.
Simply because the married ones, the way I have explained it, cannot even manage to divorce their husbands. Not because of cows. If you want to break the relationship that was built by big societies, you'll have to bring them together to disagree. Or there is a very big reason that would make you break that relationship. And the ladies are being cared for. And you know how ladies are taken care of in our society.
Yes.
If you have your younger sister in your village, now with your mother or your brothers, big brother or uncle, is your priority wherever you are to take care of her. She has hopes, she has resilience, and she can resist every matter until she settles. What happened is the resources that are required in huge numbers, for example, that happened to Koga Lad, who was marrying Nyanelong. That is not the most expensive marriage I knew. I have attended marriages that are expensive than that. I don't need to talk about the names of the ladies and the cattle given or any other resource that was added on. It is an issue of value.
Right.
It is an issue of value. It's not a sale. It's not a sale. Whatever we give to our in-laws is just an appreciation. And there is feminism or whateverism that is coming up, that if a lady is married with a lot of cows, is not well treated. That is a lie. They are actually well placed. Those ladies are well placed. They get the courtesies and the respect they have. And more so, Nyalong is not the daughter of Panedenga Jalang that attracted a lot of cows. Her bigger sister is a wife to my cousin, Kunyata, is the mother of my
Right. You see.
Okay, we are married from that family. Whenever a wife has been married, including mine, who was with me here in Nairobi, from the time I married her, she spent nearly 4 years without cooking, without doing any house chores or any other activity that would cause scratches on her. That is a cultural demand. She should be treated well, at least for a given number of years, and then later take the responsibilities. All these are just cover-ups. If a conflict arises, even a lady that you get for free, you can still have a conflict with her. That is that aspect. When it comes now to the marriage that has become expensive, my friend, you are not buying a human being. No. You are offering what they call appreciation to those people who have brought up their daughter.
Yes.
They said that you consider her for a wife.
Yes.
So, as somebody, not because I have undergone the process already, I wouldn't encourage Mwanjang to abandon their culture. We don't have to erode our culture.
Yep.
What we need to do is at least to control it to a certain level. Because not everybody is gifted on equal basis. But again, ladies are not given at equal price. Even a sister of Nyanlong that we are talking about here today, if you go in your own way, with a different understanding, it is not the cows that the father wants. It's the son-in-law. It's the family-in-law. You may even get her sister with 5 cows or 10. I also know people who have great marriages who did not even reach 50 cows. So whatever stories that are told, by the time Nyanlung was married, I was also aware there were other marriages that were ongoing elsewhere. Some were as low as 5 cows, others were even as high as the state of Kogalat that he did. And I learned later on a mistake happened. People advocated wrongly in the name of Kogalat until he was affected. That is wrong. A raw, then I call it wrong.
Yes. Yeah.
If somebody, we know there are millionaires, people like Bill Gates, we don't spend nights awake talking ill about them. And we may not be aware they have given trillions of dollars to their in-laws. Why talk ill of Kogalat? Why advocate in a negative way? I did not want to talk about the status of Kogalat when he was being denigrated on Facebook, on WhatsApp, and all the social media platforms in a bad way. No, he did nothing wrong. First of all, Nyanlung was not removed from school. Nyanlung was a lady groomed in the cattle camp. And in the cattle camp, there is a certain age. If a lady has reached, nobody will even need her. Okay? The people will say, would you ever get a 26-year-old, a 25-year-old, or a 24-year-old in the cattle camp moving around?
No.
And married? That is a disgrace to their family. People do not know that one. It's a cultural demand. What other duties have they assigned Nyanlung for then? Okay, and Nyanwood, her duty is and if the time for marriage comes, she should be married. Okay? All these Western advocacies are truly not commensurate with our cultures. But I always say, let us take what is positive and leave what is negative. And negative things is it that will destroy your values that have been grounded. There are ladies, yes, they are Dinka from Yilul. They are Dinka from Warab. They are Dinka from Rubek. They are Dinka from Awil. That were born perhaps in America or in the United Kingdoms. They have never interacted with people at the grassroots in Awil. And the reason why I would keep my daughter in my compound is she is at school and she has to reach a certain stage. That is a responsibility. Do you know, they say in Bible that an idle mind is a devil workshop? Kade, allow your daughter to stay in your house in the United States where you are. She's not going to school. And if she has finished school, she is not going for a job. What type of a person that lady would be? Even a boy. That is why they eat drugs. Because they have no responsibilities. They go for recreation. All in all, I am not a conservative. I am always flexible to change. But that change must not infringe on my values.
Right.
Okay? If you see a lady that was brought up in the cattle camp and she has reached at the age of 19 or 20 and is moving naked, the ones in towns will laugh at her. But if she sees you also, you are an age mate and you are wearing clothes, she will also have her own inferences about you. She has her own conclusions about you. And you have your conclusion about her. That is not primitivity. Clothes are what we obtain. They were not created with us, and God is not stupid. If God was stupid, we would be questioning him that why are we born without clothes? We are born naked.
Exactly.
Okay? And the surah that you see that are Jesus Christ and what Jesus was here before Kamalas. How did people take his picture? If we go to the invention of science, all these are the imaginations of mind. And they are cultures that have been motivating us to do this and that. And language is for communication. I can speak Tong Kawajat, I speak Tong Nas myself. A bit of Chulu. Much of it, what I can at least convert my dialect to that of Agar to say Lende. And even tell Dengdi that I york certain thing in the rate. But that does not mean I have been acculturated. Just a language for communication, for them to understand me. If they move bar chest in America, they are now going back to the creation. You have seen them. Some of them even would dress until you would see the hip. Why do that? It's because it is conventional. They have accepted it. Why do you want to erase the values that we accept? What is it that they destroy from us? My friend, come home. You, brother there, get a wife. If you have 5 cows, you will get. If you have 0 cows, you will still get. If you have 500, you will get. That is the bottom line. And the advocacy, even people say there must be laws to put the marriage, I don't know, requirement at a certain level. Even in the United States of America, I don't think there is a law that establishes a bride price or a dowry, for that matter, if it is in India, where ladies would be the one paying now for men. So these are cultural values. If you go to India now, some parts of India, it is the family of the girl that will struggle to raise resources to get a husband for their daughter. Why didn't we go there and say this is wrong? And on this other side, given the biblical explanation, a man is the head of the family. To bring that lady, appreciate your in-laws. Give them a cow or 2. If you come to me, my friend, and you need my daughter, I will understand you from your angle. If you are a one cow man, I will still give you my daughter if we understand ourselves. It is all about understanding. And if we begin also to say ladies would be toys now, anybody would just play with them behind the gate there, that one will be a destruction to the society. Because I know in my community, you don't play with somebody's daughter. That would attract enough punishment from the brothers or even from your family. And that is why we have walked with our heads up. Somebody's daughter has to be respected. He's a human being that deserves value. By the time you just exchange ladies like your inner worlds, is the time our society will degenerate. It's not the time you are being asked to pay 100 cows. Now, you have suffered. Like when I was marrying, I have to run from one cattle camp to the other. And in the cattle camps, you don't drive a car. You either walk or use a motorcycle or a bicycle because the roads are very narrow. See, I hit my leg on a stone and I had a fracture. But I did not give up. I have to struggle until I put all my cows together, ensure I got my wife.
Exactly.
So everything that comes easy has to go easy. My friend, if you want my wife, you want to take her away from here now, you first slaughter me. You will not manage to take her away, whether by words or by actions. Okay? It's because it is a process that requires thoughts, that require involvement, that requires commitment, and it is hard to break. But this thing comes with stays. You are calling somebody's daughter, bring her to your house, you stay with her for 3 months, tell her to go back. What is that? Is that what we want to embrace? That is a cultural decay. It is not Dinka, it is not Yirul, it is not a Tuot, it's not a Liab. My friend, if you are found with Nyan Liab doing that, you will visit the grave. Even by distant relatives, because it is a disgrace. You are insulting the community. Women are holy. That is how our people perceive them. They are holy. You don't play with them. Okay? You can only share a bed with them, make them pregnant, but you do not know all that one happens. The way they will convert this baby into what you will call a future generation of yourself is something else. And of course, they have big responsibilities.
True.
And if I told you as a Dinka lady to abandon her responsibilities, she will not like it. She will fight with you. Kade, where Chinlo Majunki Diop, when you went to Majunki Diop, just recently,
Yes.
did you cook?
No, I haven't cooked.
If you had tried to cook,
Even I haven't even washed my clothes.
Will the wives in your community allow that?
No.
They will not allow. But in America, you cook.
Yes.
Even in Nairobi, when I came here for my medical education, I sometimes cry because I will cut onion. I don't even know where to start. And I end up with tears. But I have to do it anyway until I learn it. But if I go to Europe, it is a hidden matter. I won't even talk about it. And you will even remember this if you know how Makirlo sing about this. He said, "Will Kwagabutui, Achid will if people begin to cook together, they will exchange bad words. So let us be able to be mindful to understand that what we call gender is not all about being a man or being a woman. It is a role that you play.
Exactly.
I know women in my society that construct buildings, they construct houses. It is a crossover from their gender role. And it is not a crime. It shouldn't be enforced. I also know men in my society that were able during crisis to raise their families with the hardship, and they were the mothers and fathers. That is a role nobody would laugh at you at such a situation. But it is not all an issue of laughing. Even anatomically, medically speaking, today if you go to an anatomy lab and you pick a bone of a woman, it is not the same with the bone of a man. And here we come on the streets and cry that we are equal. We are not equal. We are different in a good way. We are not equal. We are different in a good way. It is the rights that are equal. The rights provided by law that are equal. Nothing bad about women, nothing bad about men. We have to share the roles. This town education is good. We get it. But it should not erode your values.
Right.
I know very well there are societies that have invented the art of education in their own languages. I believe today if you go to China, 90% of the time they do their instruction in their local language.
Language, yeah. Science. Yes. And they are now competing with America.
Yes.
Yeah.
If you go to Russia, they have science, but they talk their language. They do their cultural things. The same thing in Israel. Why abandon my culture? Because of civilization. Which civilization? Who told you mine is not a civilization? It is just my values are existing in a language that has not been documented. But if you sit down with an elder, he will tell you about the ancestors. What is the origin of a Jade Woodbuck? What becomes law today? Who is Tube? How did they manage to kill Ngal Alol? Why is Kror Panman Bol popular in our youth tongues?
Right.
These are the historical heritages of our society. And they go and document it. But there are people that remain. Like in my community, there are elders that know the history. And these elders sit down with young people to teach them. And those young people, some of them have even taught me about what we were before and what we used to do and how things evolve over time. Even the history of migration of a whole community from my section until the other side of the Upper Nile. We all know this. What I want to say is a culture is not it that you acquire from the neighboring community. It is it that you found when you were born and you got yourself in it. If I go back to Irul and I see a naked man, I won't laugh at them. because I was myself born naked. What is the crime in it? It is just an issue of evolution. If my thighs have become bigger, why is it a crime? All this, I am saying not to discourage people from education. Get education as much as you can afford or as you want. But know too, what you have behind is value. And I can appreciate you because you remember Majum Chidyo and work so hard to ensure friends and your good self would do something to at least advance the enlightenment there. But that does not mean you want to acculturate Majum Chidyo.
Right.
I have seen when you were in Majum Chidyo, they have actually brought goats.
Very
Is it
interesting.
because you did not want a meat? You were very much in need of meat? No. It is because it is part of the culture.
Yes.
A visitor has to be honored with the blood of an animal.
True.
It's culture, isn't it?
It's culture.
Just let's look. Our governor will go to lakes. How many cows will be slaughtered? It's a sign
lot.
for purification.
Yes.
Okay, they don't slaughter them because Rin needs meat. He will only jump over them, and he doesn't know who will eat them when he is.
He will eat
caught.
them. He will not be eating them.
It is a cultural value. I believe when you were in Majungi, the people poured water on your shoes.
Yes, they
That is
did.
not magic. Is there any magic in water?
Yeah.
No. It is a cultural requirement. It is a cleansing. You have moved from a long distance. The dust has to be washed up so that you start with a new dust. The local one, if it goes up, it will be smelled by people and will not destroy them. The gas that comes from far, if not washed away, it can cause problems. These are beliefs. There is a way of doing them in America. If they don't do them, it doesn't mean they know it so much that we do not know it. It is just that it was not theirs. All this I am saying is not to denigrate anybody. And I'm not a cultural activist. I am not a feminist. I hate no one. But the truth remains, my values must not be taken away. There was time we were in Rome with my brother Emmanuel Ajawin. I think he is still somewhere around.
Probably he's tired. Probably tired. Maybe he's my wife. Yeah.
When we were in Rome, we had to order to eat. When we were making
So you
orders,
guys are doing what Roman do, right?
there are things there, the seafood. When Emmanuel said, no, this is not the type of fish I eat. In Malakal. I said the same, no, the same Nile that goes to Malakal is where I fish. This is not the type of fish I eat. Were we uncivilized? No. We were eating what is equivalent to what we eat at home. That is what is actually within our reach.
Right.
And I have a friend of mine. He's called Christian Romasomi. He was my fan when I was a good wrestler. He was the project manager for Concern worldwide. But we had partnership. I was employed by another organization called BIDA, Baragazal Youth Development Agency, that was promoting what they called food security. So he used to be there with us in Europe. He never eats meat. He never eats meat. And if he eats meat, that would not kill him. But his culture demands that.
Right.
That he shouldn't eat meat. There is even a guy who was with us. He was a project officer working in the same organization. It's called Ring Ring. He's a guy from Tweet Mayadi.
Mm-hmm.
He never eats meat. And if we go to the field, I have to ensure we have beans.
See?
That is not a crime. All those people were learned. They have the best education. But they still hold to their values. Your values are your values. Why abandon them? Simply because a new thing has come. Embrace the new thing and don't lose the old one. I believe even now, Among our communities, people cry that Penyachura will.
Mm.
The change is there.
Yeah, change has come, yeah.
Okay. And I could remember the songs of Chwalebeg that quite right by I quite a lot because I cockle diet in Jackedan Mataji Ralaban can Kajabona Dunira walk the Kajatia quite right by car. You see, Chwalebeg refused that unmarried ladies should not be dressed. This is destruction of our society. How do you differentiate a girl from a woman?
Mm.
If they all wear maxis? You see? That is the time ladies will not allow themselves to be touched by anyone. Allowing themselves to be touched too much would make their breast fall and they will not be admired in the whole village.
Mm.
I am not against any woman. And again, that man also that would run here and there would also be disrespected. Do you know there is something called Ngage Nyirgot?
Mm.
If you touch girls, whose house will you sleep in?
No,
Nobody will allow you to sleep. You will sleep in your mother's house. And do you know it is not a prestige to sleep in your mother's house in Dinka culture? You sleep in the house where there are girls. But if you have a habit of touching them just like this, the whole village will know. And you will be unwanted. You are unclean. So all these, they have drawbacks. Like anything, even food itself has side effects.
yes.
But that does not mean we should not eat. We'll eat, but food has side effects. What I am saying is cultural values have a certain meaning in the society. Marriages are part of our culture. Do not just conduct them the way you would want them to be conducted in America. Because you have gone to America and you want to come to Europe and tell us to change our culture. Bring us the good thing in America, like the school you have brought to Majong Chibion. Thank you for it.
Thank you. Mm.
Okay? So, what we actually remember when you are away like this, when I am away, I remember the scenery of Europe, the beauty of my place. I have seen Aduna Makura Thorbe has opened up a page that he calls Europe is beautiful, together with others. They reflect some few areas of Europe.
Yes.
But how will you feel if you have walked to Rumdida Pakchali, Bajalo Adwanga, or Burulwal, Kujal environment thing? Just move to Burulwal or Adwanga and then see the environment. What will you conclude? What if I move to Rorajo? What if I go to the hilltop at Ramchel and then look down at the vicinity of Tian and Langmator or on this side and what they call aboard by? It is something else. So you don't destroy your environment just because you have seen a certain environment. What if you have just gone maybe just beyond Kosti and you move there and it is a desert and you come back to Yerul and destroy all the trees because you have seen that place? What will happen to you? That destruction would result in something else. It will not even be like the area that you went to. All in all, we have been gifted by the Almighty in different ways.
Exactly.
I have stood in Malakal and I look on the other side of the Nile. I saw a place called Yitang. It's just like Panajek.
Imagine.
With a lot of a code.
Beautiful, beautiful with a code.
Yes, the Walguan.
You see the time that I was using Yeru? You see
Yes.
that I took with a code, those are very beautiful environments, you know.
You see?
Beautiful.
All those are part of our culture.
Yeah.
And I know there are cultures in Europe that would not even allow you to cut down trees.
Yeah.
And the elders would even mark some trees as a spiritual. You don't even touch them. This is how our culture works. So all in all, you don't have to destroy something if there is no expected benefit. all in all, I am not uh, a man
That would be a different topic. That would be a very interesting topic. Then that's a very good topic.
And I believe he has seen my uncle, and I took him to Langmatot. He has seen how the grave of Yaba Alier looks like. And that hot talk, he knows. And how we were showered with water without rain. All in all, we have certain beliefs also that we will talk about another time.
Yeah, that would be.
But what I have to tell South Sudanese, regardless of wherever they come, their values are important. There are certain cultural practices that are happening in the Rake area, that if we are seen breaking them, like we were talking ill of them in terms of eating raw groundnuts, they would also laugh at us. It is just a cultural variation.
Yes.
It is just a cultural variation. Even eating habits. There are certain foods that are called staple foods. Do you think Queen Moguang is something easy? Queen Asida Chichok Moguang Cham Gunran? No. And Mana to Nongwo. The same thing, it happens. I went to Chuluklan with a friend. I have two friends, very close friends of mine. One is called Oling Anthony Ajaka Jawin. He's my colleague, he's a medical doctor. And another friend is called Chol Omak. He's a public health expert. These are my very great friends. Okay? Oling took us to Malakal. Okay? And we went to the family house. And we were given special food, the one they call Mongakelo. We ate it ravenously. It was food of honor. And I have also a friend who is a daughter of Mak. She schooled with us. School Madban Kwong Deputy. We moved together with her. When the father came, we all knelt down, including Adwag Nyaba.
Yeah.
Why? That is a cultural requirement.
Requirement, exactly.
It is a cultural requirement. What I want to say is, let us not play with our sisters and our daughters by trying to acculturate them and put them to the Western streets. Because the advancement in the Western world is not the advancement in our territories. In our territories, if we have spoiled a lady, she is fully spoiled.
And
in the West, they have benefits. They can even be single.
Also, to Sunday, sorry to cut you off, because for example, me, I live in Western country. I'm in the United States, and I have a good relationship with white people, with people, American people. I grew up when I came to America. I stayed with them. I grew up in their environment. But did they change my culture? No, they didn't. You see, the American society here, they don't teach you that to change who you are. They cannot do that. So, and this is how we want to see, because they even value our traditional culture. American here, they even value, because you see how every year I go back home and I bring back our culture things like video, photos, and show them. They are moved and led, you see, and our people. And this is how it is. Culture is very important. It's very important. So
very true. Yeah, there is this also cultural requirement. If we ask ourselves today, whether in Lake State or in Ural in particular, because we are all about the article that I have just written. If we talk about Ural today, I may ask a question. Is there a single mother in Ural? Are there single mothers in Ural? From Ural town to its environ, are there single mothers? It is yes or no, isn't it?
No. Yes.
Both answers are true. Yes.
Single
no.
mother. Yes. Single mother. Maybe the husband passed away or something.
Yes, a single mother that is existing in Yerul is a mother whose husband has died for any other reason. Okay. That is a single mother there. But it's not a single mother like that. There is a member of the family that has been authorized to directly or indirectly take care of her. So she is no longer single. That if you walk to her compound majestically with disrespect, you will be caned. That is one. Number two, why are there no single mothers as a result of running away of the husband or as a result of separation? It is simply because it is uncultural. If you run away from somebody's daughter after you have made a baby with her, first of all, you will be the most wanted man in the village, including by chiefs. It is a crime. That is one. Number two, by doing that, you have blocked your other opportunities. If you really later on want to marry another one, it is not an issue of a go ahead. Your records will be traced. You ran away from somebody's daughter. What is unique about our daughter? This is a question you will have to answer. Even if you have million cows. But also, there is another point of it. A child that has been born and you run away from is a subject to insult by friends and colleagues or whoever that is there. He will not even take part in community matters. People will ask him, are you son of who? Even in our society, mothers who have been disadvantaged by natural process, including the death of their husbands, will not always keep away their children from their ankles. They have to be closer to their ankles to get the lessons of life. Because there is this thing called manati. You were brought up by a woman. How dare you talk to me? All these are cultural practices that actually build a society. And you will never see a deviation, and particularly in the rural most part of our society. Unless in towns, they are there. And if you go to Yerul today, if you get a street child, it's not originally from Yerul. Yes, by origin, they are from Yerul, but they were born somewhere and later on brought Yerul with that bad character.
True.
Do you think a child can leave Goragot or a Gwar or Malenga Nyet to Yerul to go and loiter around?
No.
Not possible. The community itself is a police. If somebody is seen moving around without a good reason, they will say, who is this? They will identify him and settle him where he belongs. This is how our culture built us. I know children of very notable people that have never succeeded, whether in education or just mere street life, simply because the fathers have not had enough time or they have not authorized specific people to care for those children so that they can be able to understand what their values are. And they ended up being drugs addicts. Some are in the reform centers, some are loitering, some have nothing that you can regard as a future. Our people are now in jail in the United States of America, elsewhere in the world, simply because they have not become adamant to the anybody that values the culture. Culture includes even the talks of the community and their advices. When I first came to Kenya, I was told, how you live here is what you must take there. When I came here, I keep my values by respecting others and not doing what they do just because I have just come to them. Unless it is a requirement by the curriculum that I am handling. I am not saying we should be conservative and not learn. No, certain things you can adopt when you know they are not going to put a negative drawback to you. I believe we have talked a lot about our values and how the youth live, including surviving in the forest without depending on the elders.
Yes.
We eat wild fruits, you know very well. Kuchem ku kajwe koktoruri kaye kucham yigjoy. Even there is a need, and a nin koris kwa nindiri. There are times oh chama need kijital. This is the salata we eat in town. So we even eat salata in the cattle camp. You just have to have it. You see? So all these things are there. And ang lim ko ga kunyot. Is just the environmental requirement. All in all, my culture is not the best. Your culture is not the best. Keep yours to your level and I keep mine to my level. And we meet, there are points of meeting. Now, I see cultural clashes in South Sudan and the way of livelihoods. If you hear about the outcry, for example, in Equatoria, about the presence of cattle everywhere. You have seen that one.
Yes.
To me, without any political attachment, those that are crying have every right to cry and say this is not right. Because of a new change that we have adopted. Long time ago in our villages, there is separation of a cow and the fields for cultivation. Cows will be brought closer to homes around December there. And they call Koyalama because buong la nyada buong. Chende elwe.
Yes.
This is when the crops have actually been harvested.
Harvested, yeah.
And their remains are in the field. Cows will now come and eat. But while they eat, they are also dropping their dung.
Dung. And that dung is good for the...
This dung will contribute to the new yield next year. While these cows have also benefited from the grazing during that part, and then they return to Toch. Now I have learned there are some parts of Yirul that are not subject to cultivation. But they will be returned to. Because I have seen youth that are completely drunk, because drinking is not our culture. Then if you drink, songs will be composed. Even eating a chitet, the pilipili was not eaten by youth. It's the elderly, because they say they have lost their taste buds. They have grown old.
And now you are drinking alcohol. This which is the one, which is the next topic we want to talk about. Because
that is uncultural. Yeah. Up to today, I have never tasted alcohol, whether refined or unrefined.
Even I heard when I was back home, I even heard that people were saying that even those youth who are in the cattle camp, they even buy the alcohol and then mix them together with milk and bring them, and also to the deep alcohol to the cow too, which is very unfortunate.
Here. When I was married, I have bulls, but one of them Mamera Chot is a certain bull that has no horns and is unique in its own ways. It's a very strong bull. It carries this big bell from point A to point B without giving up. Do you know what happened? You decided to bring alcohol, a crystal, and they pour it at the mouth of the bull. And it was so happy. And when the bull was drunk, was just beating this big bell like nobody's business. I said, the bull is drunk. It is not the strength alone. That is not part of our culture. It is an insult to the society.
Yeah.
But I am glad those youth that are now drunks, they no longer care about the cows. They drive them anywhere, including to some people's fields. How do you blame Equatorians when their only livelihood 90% of the time is to grow their crops? And you are there putting your cows there. Even your mother will not like it. It is wrong. The forest is so big. I do not say we can stop cows from moving to certain areas, because they also don't move for no good reason. They move for good reasons. For example, if the lowlands have been flooded, cows don't stay in water. And you know they are the livelihood of your brother. Why can't they come to the high ground that you are not using? And you who has a desire to bring the cows to the high ground of your brother, why are you not mannered? It is just not it is just an issue of reconciliation. It's just an issue of acceptance. For example, the Bagara and the Ambaroro, they are nomadic people. The Ambaroro spend nearly 7 months in the territories of South Sudan, and they are not South Sudanese. Why do we allow them? You know, there was this season of Ambaroro staying in Yerul with a lot of their many cows. Nobody stole them, nobody fought them, nobody attacked them in any way, even verbally, simply because we know their area is dry by that time. And if we could subject their cows to the death, it would be a humanitarian crisis. And we will even be obliged to accommodate them. Why can't they just graze their cows there? And when the time comes, they go back the way they want. And we know the Ambororo did not allow their cows to eat our crops. But here, I believe if cows were not allowed to destroy the crops belonging to Equatorians, Equatorians will never complain. You are only trampling on their rights to survive by keeping cows in their gardens. And cows do not have mercy for crops. And crops are not defensive. They cannot defend themselves. This is where it is wrong. And if these cows have not eaten your crops, they are being kept there. The Equatorian should also know a person who is in charge of a cow will not stay in one place for more than 3 months if they have stayed longer. The cows will move alone. And you remain there. Cows will leave the place alone. All in all, let us embrace ourselves. It is the sentiments that have been planted in our hearts that make us feel bad about a brother. It is the infringements that a brother would do that has made this and this. You know what happened? This thing must be discouraged. And I know in Lagos State it will disappear temporarily. Because I know Kir does not give people enough time. But I know the current governor that has been appointed to Lagos is a no-nonsense man. And that is what I like from Rin. He will not allow you to do things that are uncultural. And there are also very many things that I also don't like in him. But that is politics. I don't want those to talk about. But I know if he goes to Lake, people will cultivate. That is number one. That is food security. And people also will not fight among themselves because he will say security without compromise. Even his own brother will not forgive if he is the culprit. This is the return of the culture. It is just an issue of law. If it is being outlawed that cows must not be allowed to eat somebody's garden, long time ago, if a goat has gone to Madid's field and the goat belongs to Sunday, the goat is caught and it is cut in half. Madid takes the hit because it has eaten its crop, the upper part, and I take the lower part, I walk away with it. And who needs his goat to be slaughtered like that? Nobody. And then people will be saying, no, don't allow your goat to go into somebody's field. Why do we allow it today? And if somebody complains, we say that person is bad. Yep. That is being not reasonable. Huh? That is wrong. That is wrong completely to destroy somebody's crops. We don't obtain crops by just saying let them grow. We work to make them grow. And we need them to live. We need them to live. The person who does not have cows has to survive, because cow alone is not the lifeline. Even the owners of the cows also need beans. They need crops like sorghum and all those other ones. Let us understand ourselves. I know Equatorians don't hate Dinka, Dinka don't hate Equatorian. But there is also stereotype and some kinds of disrespect at times. Be the Equatorian disrespecting or be the Dinka disrespecting, whatever they are doing is wrong. And I don't give a damn whether it is my brother that has driven cows to somebody's field, and whatever happened to those cows, I will ask him, not the person that made that thing.
Yes, that's wrong. Yeah.
And South Sudan is too big. If we put our cows to use, we can also use them as income generating, not just the prestige. Okay? I know people in Irul, like in 2011, 2012, if you see people, I know people, I don't need to mention them, because it is also bad to mention wealth of somebody with his name attached. I know people that have more than 700 cows. If they were to be protected well and used wisely, some for milk, others to be sent to certain factories, including those book. If people are doing dual, if people are doing fattening season, they may eat between 20 to 30 cows. Where do they put their skin?
Right.
This could have been converted to a developmental matter. Where do we get shoes? We buy them from Egypt and elsewhere. Egypt actually used leather to make those shoes. And the last time I learned, they even have difficulty getting meat. Where do they get the skin? All these are just lack of proper thought, so that people can come together and make life easier for all, not for one section. Make life easier for all.
Exactly.
Including this madness that Dinka has done, this Dinka has done. It's not Dinka that is doing it. It is lawlessness that permit this. Equatorian have done this, Equatorian have done this, Nuer have done this. It is lawlessness that permits that one.
Right.
If there is law, what would make me go to Ganyel and raid a cattle camp there? If there is law, what would make me go to Rumbek and kill somebody on the road? To benefit what? If you have killed somebody, what is the gain? You even don't occupy their land. You are not given money because you have gained this. Even those cows you are not given. All these are the societal madness. They are uncultural. There is no culture in the whole world that celebrates a thief. In my village, a man came there and he was known in a certain cattle camp. He has actually gone to somebody's buyer and stole milk belonging to a child. When he was dancing judiciously in Malek, he was seen by boys and they said, wait, it was the man who stole milk. He just took his stick and he took off, he ran away. Nobody will celebrate a thief.
Yeah.
Nobody will celebrate a thief. We were there dancing even with the brother, a cousin, Mariala Batona Adil. And we were shocked. The man was running and he was an in-law. A lady who is his relative was married to our uncle. And then he was dancing there, he was our guest. But when the boys came and they saw him, This man looked like the man who stole Felix the other time. He just ran very fast. This is not to allow others to know him further, so that the numbers increase and they will be talking about him. So all these are not our cultural values. Even killing somebody was not cultural.
Yeah.
You cannot kill somebody, because killing somebody is a disgrace. You are bringing blood to your hand, and it can destroy you and your resources. Okay? This will be talked about during the faith time, because in our family there is a spiritual leader, and I know how they work. We call them Benbit Panrek, but they are called Kojin in our territory, including Acheng Mayan, who is our neighbor, including our great Manyang Joganai, and other great people, Igbo, Kwal, Panduan, along to Law, Jalakoi Didkop, Will Naleje. All this, I am telling people, not because I know more than they do. I know there are people who understand our culture, even with the knowledge of how animals behave in the bushes. People like Professor Job Darwan Malo Deng and many other elders. But I learned through my experience and also from them. So our values are going away slowly.
Yeah.
And there was a story told in Dinka language, and my cousin composed a song about it. Few years back, our section, our clan, the youth developed a fright of popularizing themselves with good songs that do not touch on other communities' values and that encourage them to abandon bad things. One of their songs was sung by a guy called Machin Kung Agok, and it was like, Achone deg mau bai, ina day mabora agok uton elwin, ding mau chijo bar cham ched manyun, mawa rej bai, panesuda navinom liap, deg mau. She was saying, any young man that drinks alcohol in our society, you are being watched by me, Maboragog, and Tonelwin. This drinking that you are practicing is what made the dog to have no house. That the dog was so much drunk and said there was no need for a house, and the dog decided to burn the house. And then the dog lost the house and everything to eat, and is eating pieces. So why would you practice this? And you know, in town, they understand the alcohol. They drink it responsibly. But in the village, they don't know. They just feel good if they take a huge amount and end up messing everything, allowing the cows to eat other people's crops, insulting a certain community, including certain insults, even if you know you don't say them in our society. But is it easy in my society to tell you that you are a pet in a rot? Will I ever tell you?
No, you cannot.
Even you and I, we know somebody who is a pet. Will we say it?
No, we cannot.
We will not say it is uncultural. Okay. The culture will force us to compensate that person because it's a damage. Why would you inflict a damage on somebody?
And if you say it, and that person who you accuse of,
and if it happens to be a lie, my friend, it's a different story.
Yes.
That is how culture teaches us. I don't know a culture that celebrates bad values. All cultures will always respect other one. Is it also permitted in our culture to kill somebody that is just passing by, a stranger? No, my culture does not permit me to kill a stranger. Because if I kill a stranger, God will not forgive me. Not the Jesus that we talk, but we believe God exists and they will not forgive you. Because first of all, that person is passing by and has not destroyed anything and is going somewhere that you don't know and you don't know their names and they have not done anything to you or to your great grandparents. Why? Today in Lake State, people are killed on the road.
God.
Is that our culture? No,
No,
it is not our culture. All these are what amounts to what is not culture and what is not what is culture. Also, during those days when we were boys, okay, now I have my siblings from my other mothers. When I was born on the one, and my mother died when I was not even big. I was small. I don't even know how she looks like. But I was very notorious. I was a troublesome boy. I fight here and there. But there is no single day where 5 sons of somebody have joined hands to beat me. Why? Because it is a cultural requirement. If one man is fighting the other, don't go in. If you go in, separate them.
Exactly.
But today is not the case. Minorities are being disrespected. Today I have more than 10 brothers. I'm no longer a minority. But then when I was growing up, I was a minority. But nobody abused me. That is taking it at my level as a sample. In Panaquid, whether it's Quid or Quidty, not all sections are equal, isn't it?
Yeah, true.
And there is no section that has abused the other.
Yeah.
Completely, isn't it? That is the same in the entire world. You don't need to be 1,000 to be respected. You need to be one with the right values, and you deserve a respect.
Yeah.
All in all, what has come now is a smaller community is a subject of destruction, is disrespected. Then also, we don't go Bulagurwan. When I was saying Kwayache Chamachite, there were songs composed mid-quick, like when Majur Manguk. He sang a song to somebody that a Nyin Chamachite. The thing? Those songs were not destructive. Because people like Ayualamako will discourage this. If you have wrestled with somebody, it is a requirement that there are songs composed after the wrestling. Even somebody sang a song in my name from this other side of board because he want to wrestle with me. He hit my he heard that I was a good wrestler,
Yes.
and he said he must try me. And then he started by composing a song, singing my broken tooth.
So you can come out, so you can challenge. That's the way.
Yes.
It's challenging you.
I accepted his challenge, and I defeated him. Then I composed another song. I did not insult his family. He did not insult my family. He only said he has a broken tooth. That's a description. He described me. It's true, I have a broken tooth. If you said he is broken, what will you say? Next, it's not destroying me. I also knocked him. And then I composed a song saying I just knocked him until he cried. He didn't cry. I just want to to make the environment look a little bit heated. And then we enjoy. All this happened, and I will stated it as part of our culture composed song, but don't insult a certain community. You can say I have knocked him until he cried. You see? You say I have knocked him until this happened. And I can remember this guy that I mentioned before, the senior youth, then during our time that was in charge of our cattle camp is called Maboridiu. He was knocked by somebody called Malongde. And he composed a song that when people gather together is Maboridiu that will now go and sing it so that people dance. And he is the one who has been. Yeah. You just say, Undi, the Banmakira Ram Kauna, Gogbator, Riaja Young Dandy. Nira dia wagulau dia oga kuiriel duloni ni yuit kentor yo unubanyaram kunago was just saying when I knock Mabordiu ladies cried that they have never known Mabordiu can be knocked. Is that something you can fight with? No, you cannot fight somebody like that. Instead, it's a gratification. That is how we should be living. That creates harmony. Mabordiu has never put a stick somewhere to wait for Malok to pass and beat him. No, because Malok has no problem with the family of Dina Nyat. It is a play in the playground. And he has to elevate himself by saying, the public, I have beaten him. That is enough, no problem. Even during this WWE kind of practice in the United States and other places. They are first given microphones to denigrate one another in a good way.
Yes.
You see, before they fight. All those are boil ups. Those are part of the culture that we cannot separate from us. But why adopt the bad ones? Why adopt the bad ones? Like also those days, if you have gone out with a lady and maybe you agreed on a certain things, you don't come to the community or to a certain group to gossip about your sister. Okay? But you don't come to talk ill of your sisters. I have seen people going too low that they say, Nyanangak are like this, I have done this, I am like this. One time in Nairobi here, I told boys, don't talk like this, I hate this. If we were to make lists, some of you will see their mothers in my list, and that is responsible. Do not talk ill about our sisters. This is for a younger generation to understand. Our sisters are holy. Somebody's sister is your wife, and is somebody's sister. There is a way being will link up, and we have known how useful the daughters are, and you have seen from the song that you have played before. In Lake State, daughters are acceptable because they are the creators of wealth and the territories. The whole Rumbek belongs to Akono Boy, isn't it? From the history, I was told that that territory was for Jurubeli section. No Agar there. And when Agar came on the route of migration, they loved the place. They want to settle there. They gave Akono Boy to Jurubeli and they were given land. Is that not a good thing? And today we talk of Yerul popularly. Who is a Yerul?
Yerul is a girl, but given.
A Yerul is a daughter of Nyang. Is a daughter of Nyanke. This daughter was gifted in her own ways, and there was no river or any water source closer. People only drink from very dirty waters that are stagnant. And when a Yerul goes that direction, she gets clean water. And the father decided to say, my daughter, if these people that give you this water really want you, go to them and give us water. The whole village should not die because of you. And a Yerul was decorated and put in that hole. And at night, it became Lake Yerul. And here we are enjoying it. You can swim there. You can walk around it. You can get fish from it. Anything you want, you get from that lake. People see it as shallow, but it has everything in it. Is that not a daughter? And if you look at Ninor Tube,
yes,
it's the mother of Big Luaj. Even if Nuer claims them today and say they speak Tongna, we need them in Nuer land, we will not accept them to go. We will block all the routes. They will not migrate away. They are a big part of Yerul because they are sons of our daughter.
yes.
Okay? And all daughters are valuable. They make us link up with other societies. They make us good people. They are human beings. They can do good things to us. These days they are driving big cars for us. They fly aircrafts. They do this and that. This is not a bad thing. If you go to our family, currently in the Adama section, you get nearly 7 mothers from Bor, Mundari, other sections. That is the harmony we want. If I today move in Mundari land and I happen to speak and they wanted to kill me, they will know me, I am their blood. They will leave me to go. If certain guy comes to Yerul and he is allowed to speak, they will be able to identify him and leave him to go. What is it that makes people kill people when they have not even talked to them? And when why do you kill somebody without first asking? How do you know is your enemy? This is uncultural. Leave it behind. And that is why I say a cattle boy is dirty, but truly is not dirty. They know something. They are being stereotyped. Let them talk. Remove bad cultures through laws, and they will be okay. There are people that educate the society, like Makiragwet and other singers elsewhere. Recently, Makiragwet sang a song that elders are blaming us that this generation does not educate itself. But I, Makiragwet, I am doing my part. And he said this control of alcohol will not be done by governors and commissioners. It is our daughters that will do it. If a girl, beautiful girl that is needed by a man, refuses you because you are a drunkard, you will straighten up. That is another way also of educating a society. Unclean person, a person that disgraces himself, is not a good element, and ladies will run away from him. All in all, whether you are piercing your hair, you are doing a dreadlock, you shave in a different way, the interest is to win somebody in the courtship. That's the bottom line. And if that is the case, let the ladies also use it as a tool of selection to reject men if they are overdrunk. Okay, I don't have problem with social drinking. Even ladies can also drink. But let us drink to a certain level so that we don't get intoxicated. And we know what the drinking means when I am talking here is the one that is destroying our people. Because I know if somebody is drunk, there is a gun. Now the disarmament process is not going to happen because it is a futile cycle. And there is no law in place and formula that can be used to disarm people. Okay? The guns were there even during the liberation time, but they were handled well. Not because there were too much laws that control people, but people understood that guns are not friends. They are not friends. Even you, the owner, they can kill you. They can kill you. So, a drunk person, when we were somewhere in the cattle camp giving the dowry of a brother, the bride price, the number of cows to the in-laws, you were so drunk, and it was a requirement that alcohol must be brought. Even I know in Madrid, there is something that has come to a rule. They say you are chuk. It is you that will give people in the village something to eat.
Yes.
If you don't do that one, you are in trouble. That is not our culture. It's not our culture. A visitor is a visitor. How do you expect a visitor to feed you when you are the one to feed him or her? That is not our culture. When I open the talk of these things, they could be part of a bigger book that I can author. But I only choose few events to entertain myself, to entertain my younger brothers, so that they adopt this system, because most of my brothers are my readers, and to understand how I lived before them, because some of them were brought to towns in Kenya before they become big. They went to school, they working somewhere in Juba or somewhere in other towns, but they have not gone deeper to stay with the rural people to understand the value of a person from that perspective. So I have to share it. For example, I was subject to sending during rainy season in another cattle camp called Kwanchulori, the cattle camp. So it was raining and the elders used a duai, and we call it cut.
Yeah.
So I will just be Lord I go and it is raining and I am naked. I only have very small short. So I just go without giving up. And if it is children of today, you will even insult an elder.
Yeah.
It's not that I am a good example. It is because I am talking here that I am exemplifying. Because if I say a certain boy that has done that thing in my watch and he is not here, he will not know better. So these values that I am talking about, they do not reduce us to bad people. All in all, our topics were two about my article and the related cultural issues and the politics. I don't know whether politicians have gone or not, and if there is need, we can go to it, or if there is no need, we can sleep. Because
for that topic, the second topic will be the next show, our part 2. So the part 2 will be for the politics, how the daddy cattle boy is called Sunday John become the politics, and how he become a doctor from the cattle camp to the politics and to the education. So that will be our part 2 show for the next week.
It's all right, no problem. Yes. We can always talk to our society. You know we are
Maybe that you mentioned about that we will be talking about the religion.
Okay.
So add another topic. So those are the two topics that will come up for the next section.
Oh, okay. Then you will be able to bring him, because in my community, in my family, people are holding, and that deng of our family is not about rain. It is related to faith. So you will have to be fair with me to tell us why he's scolding. Is it because the rain was raining or because of our deng?
Yeah. So the next show, the next show, part 2, definitely the Dengue Dayo will be the next with you, and then we can talk about that topic. So that's a good for today. Our show for today mostly focus about the culture, norms and values.
Sure.
Which is
Sure. And what I want to say as well is we are growing apart as South Sudanese.
Yes.
You people that have created the platforms like this, these should not be limited to Lake State. Let Equatorians, let Nuer, and all those other societies inside our country, including Anuak, Kichipo, if you get individuals from them, come and talk to us.
True.
So that we can regain our togetherness. We can never regain our togetherness by keeping silent. We have to talk about them. I have nothing to fear by telling an Equatorian that forgive me if I have wronged you. And the reverse is very true. An Equatorian will not be a loser in that sense. And when we went to Ethiopia, I actually left at a very tender age. We crossed from Yerul to Pariak through Minkaman. We were put in a canoe and brought to Pariak. When we were in a place called Pariak, just near Bor, we were later moved to Kolnyang area while we were advancing to be Bor. But we were stopped in the middle because there was anger among Murle people and they were not allowing the small recruits to cross to the other side. We were kept in that territory. But at last, Torid was captured and we were rerouted through Kepoita. We crossed the desert, the one they call Kosngor, through Mangos, Kosngor. Then we went to Koragreb, Buma, and then to Ethiopia through Jebel Rat. But we stayed there. When we returned back, I stayed in the areas of Murle, from Nyalangoro down to Buma, and mingling with Kichipo, where we were selling our clothes to keep ourselves alive as small soldiers in that territory. So these people do not hate us. And we are also not hating them. It is the cultural variation and the barriers that are being created and the polarization by the center. So this hatred is not Sudanic. Because I have even read somewhere, Trabi was saying in Sudan, we may happen to betray ourselves. We don't reach the level of hatred. So we don't hit this hatred line. It is bad for our country. And even if we are asked to divide South Sudan into small islands, we will feel lonely and we will even request for a reunion. So we better get united and remain united without just experiencing that experience that I know. Nobody is good alone. We are good with each other.
Yes.
We are good with each other alongside one another. I know nearly whole Equatoria. And I understand people in Equatoria have no issue. They would have heard it long time ago. But again, these found things, the new ones, have to be fought. They are just social biases or political biases, and they can be addressed always with open hearts. It is only when dishonesty dominates that we become a bad society. Let us also try to be honest. We have to say, if I am wrong, let me accept that I am wrong and see the best mechanism that will bring me out of this wrongdoing. This will open up a gate to me.
Thank you so much, brother Sandigan. That's exactly you mentioned about them. Because Lake State Media, when we founded Lake State Media, we found that this is our focus. Because we opened Lake State Media to everybody. We didn't do that or Lake State Media for Pacific, like the Inca, for instance, coming to the no. When we founded this media, we welcome all South Sudanese, regardless their different culture differences, their political differences. We bring them here, and then we debate with them. Because the more we talk one another, understand we another, and then we reach that common ground, educate one another. So, and Lake State Media is open to everybody, and that's what we tell here. I and my colleague from Lake State Media will always welcome everybody here. It's
But
open.
I want to invite one day Emmanuel
Yes.
Ajawin. I want to invite one day Emmanuel Ajawin. I want to invite also other young people like Peter Natana, like Yen Matthew, like Dengi Dayok. And then I become part of your team so that we moderate the talks. We can say we need to share on a bigger agenda. The bigger agenda is not the interest of my political party or the interest of political party of Salva Kiir or interest political party of somebody, but the bigger agenda would be the South Sudan we want, all of us.
Exactly.
And I will moderate. I am a journalist, okay? For your information, I am a media personnel. I am a very good student of Alfred Taban Lagune, a very good student of somebody called Albino Okeng and Albino Odeng, okay, and Tabani Joseph, and Nelbola Ken, and many other journalists that have been keeping the candle burning. I started being in the media from 2002, where I contributed mostly in the print media sector. I have authored a number of columns in in Sudan and South Sudan. I was the youngest author in Khartoum Monitor who owned a column called Third Eye. So I know the media work. I have even established then a magazine for myself, independent of anybody, so that I share about the issues of our country. Wrong advocacy and the media that is negative is enough to destroy a society. We have to work closely so that we can be able to build our society. This involves civic education and several other things. And if our communication is accurate and is not twisted, the society will grow healthy. But a society that is twisted, where a certain section has this media house to denigrate a certain society and to denigrate that society, I have not seen it in Lake State Media here. But if it surfaces that we are denigrating a society in the name of our tribe, I will not even show up. Not because I hate my tribe, I love my tribe, and Monjang Kifaya. But my tribe is not the reason why I should destroy others. They should exist the way they want. Exactly. So we will be moderating this bigger agenda so that we talk about our issues. We don't need to fear them. Let us say them. Let them say, Emmanuel Sande, it is you who has destroyed South Sudan. And this is 1, 2, 3 reasons. And then we see the bigger idea. If we unite under the umbrella, even Kir will reflect and say, these are people that are united. I will not manage them. I either change or join them or quit. These things will happen. Unity of the people. But he is now destroying us because we are divided. So, sorry, I should not bring politics. We will talk about it next time.
Yeah, the next one will be thank you. So thank you so much, Brother Sunny John. It's wonderful to have you on the show today. You talk a lot of the our culture, human values, and our people that learn. Mostly, the important about this show today is that you not only all the issues that you talk about our culture as a speaker, but in English that our brothers and sisters of South Sudan can understand what, because this is education. This is education. We are educating our people from other tribes in South Sudan. What is a culture of being in the world? So that is a wonderful thing that we know that when we go inside the culture, in a culture like this, people can understand and judge differently. Now, people who are watching this show today, they can go on and judge differently how the Dinka is, culture is. So thank you so much. I will see you next time. Our next part 2, we will be talking about the politics, how the dirty cattle boy Sandy John move away from the cattle camp to get his education and then go to the politics arena. So that is our next show. So thank you so much, and thank you to our viewers for coming in and watch the show. Thank you. We enjoyed the show, please. We will see you next time when we have another topic, which is a politics, because I know our Constitution people, they like to talk about politics. That's our next assessment. So thank you, Dr. John. I know it's late. Have a wonderful night there, and we will meet again next time. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful night.
It's your boy,
giving that thing. Control like stay, the Panchira America. Panchira go, the Panaban, control like stay, the Panchira America.
Yeah. Yes.
From that requirement of my society back to school and to the stage I am in today, and maybe how I deviated from medical field to politics of opposition, not just politics of
opposition.
Yeah, and so all these are lessons that we need to share.
So thank you, Wally.
Yeah. So all this I can share and maybe exemplify with few of my battles. In Dinka society, and particularly in Yerul, there are certain requirements that if your child is gifted with, you are a free father, including the ability to wrestle well. And that child no longer becomes yours. It becomes a figure of the society. And it becomes the example to all. And even boys, like when I was a good wrestler, there was a match that was high. Somebody was knocking people without a loss. And then my cousin asked me that Sunday, would you try this young man? I will say his name another time. Will you try him? And I said, yes, I can knock him. Huh? So I have seen him wrestling thrice, and all he used cannot overpower me. And he said, okay, we will organize. And when we later on met, it was hive by the whole village. And I finished it in less than 2 minutes. And look, the crowd has spent sleepless nights. So those I became a symbol of everybody. Everybody was celebrating in the whole village. Some of them, I don't even know who they are, but they were for me. And after I knocked that man, young people in the cattle camp, when they come close at home, they take the feathers of ajit, of chicken, the feathers, nagajit, and they are molded with a small kind of soil. And then they are thrown like this, so they don't fall. The weight of the feather plus the soil balance, and they stand. So if you have one that does not fall, you call it Sunday. Nagaecha on your Sunday, like that. So all those are the cultural heritage. Those boys that I inspired those days are beating people today in Juba. The likes of Abuchua that dance there, Matem, just pull you like this and your head down. Learn from us. So that is how things are passed on. They are passed on orally in our society. And our society has richer values. If I discuss about other people and what they have done before, including the spiritual power of Pandor that I will mention, including even a specific wrestling for lame people. You see, so lame people will come together and wrestle, and they compose songs for one another. This is to entertain the society and pass on the value. Wrestling is a big uniting factor. It causes a lot of harmony. I believe those youth that have wrestled, the Mundari, the Dinka Board, the Yerul boys of all times, if they meet on the way, they will call themselves with the nicknames.
Yes.
And they will not allow one to pass their village. They will stop if they were not passing. Then they will bring cow to slaughter to one another. And that is called what? That is harmony. If somebody stops you from where you are going and say, no, you are a visitor here, you cannot move to our village, from our village without you sitting with our family. That is brotherhood. That is how it is built. So we will talk. There are so many good things that we can say about our culture. And I have decided to write about it. Even now, after finishing here, I will write one of the matches that we did in Europe.
Yeah, another thing too, I forgot to mention to you. Another thing I forgot to tell you too. Your article, I will put your article on my website.
Okay.
On my website blog. So any article that you write, any article that you write, I will put them on our website. So I have my website of everything that we put a blog. So that article that you wrote today, I will put that there, and if the next article, I will put it there. So thank you so much. So we will do this show again every week. So Thank you so much, Wani. Thank you. I will make sure that we schedule this show again very soon. So I'm very busy, but I will make it. I will make timetable. So thank you, Sunny John. In the job, I'm just a room next week or sometime maybe of the week by every time, so we can do the next topic. So thank you so much. So thank you guys. Have a wonderful. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye bye.
Yeah, bye bye. Have a good night. Yeah. Have a good night.